Okay, welcome to the Forbidden History Chronicles, everyone. It's good to see you here. And yeah, the sound will be here in a second. Yeah, love, g'day. How's it going? um, okay, good. I'm glad it works. You're listening to the Forbidden History Chronicles with NinjaCat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series YouTube channel, and also Forbidden History Live YouTube channel. Links are in the description on every one of these live streams. Please subscribe and check the bells. Okay, so we'll get straight into it. I'm just going to read an introduction that Desert wrote. It's called The Signs of the Times. In essence, Desert discusses the history of the world and how the unseen hand has been running it from the very beginning of time, who they are and how they have founded all of the first great civilizations that are found all around the world, about who the giants really were and the ancient Aryan caste and slave systems, the priesthoods, the anti-gravity V-manners, the Earth-based misnomered UFOs which are man-made, the control of all forms of communications, commerce, religion, mass media, pseudo-politics, etc. It is the grand deception that is used to control all of mankind, and all instituted through the three main religions of the world in particular, used as their grand cover. Their cyber code has been revealed to him because he has become adept within the study of the ancient alphabets, communications, symbolism, religion, custom, law, cosmology and mythology, not to mention the fallacy of today's political science and pseudoscience in particular. He can also define the true nature of their warfare, their shell game of bringing one civilization up for their temporary use and then taking it down for the next 500-year generational cycle, as symbolized by the classical phoenix. Desert discusses the ultimate in mind control and ancient art and the financial control, the secret societies and their blood occult rituals, and how they wage all wars throughout all time through the nations that they have created, which are all imaginations, plantations and mere corporations. They have taken blood oaths to surrender their self-will and mind to their blind goddess who has demanded our blood from the very beginning of time. They communicate to their minions through the movies, TV and print media, while he can see, read and interpret most all of it. It all says that they are using us for our ingenuity, for our collective constructive labour, for experimentation, and in the end they intend to kill us all. They have given us full notice of what they are doing and what they fully intend to do, while all of the general population, the sheeple, they merely go there to be entertained. The New World Order is the Old World Order from the beginning of time. There is a major cosmic natural disaster that is about to happen on Earth, and they know it, but they are cleverly leaving us in the dark, hence the reason that they have built hundreds of underground bases all around the world, while they are leaving all of the people to remain unprepared, uninformed and above ground, so that when it comes, the mere 5% who will survive above ground will die from the weaknesses and disease that has been generated from all of the poisons that they have been feeding us, from the chemtrails to fluoride in the water, to tainted vaccines, to fake food, etc., etc. They have enslaved us all by the clever means of deception, because we most all are their cattle, chattel, property, and because they merely wanted to harness our labour, what they always needed, which is what backs most of the world's currency through the birth certificate. But they are all through with us now. It is written in stone, as it can be seen written in the Georgia Guidestones. To know the truth is to be empowered and to be prepared. We may not be able to stop what has been done and what is about to happen, but the innocent and decent people on planet Earth deserve to know. And that was written by Dezert-Owl. Okay, I just want to add to that. G'day Shelley, how's it going? My fellow yo engineer. I just want to add to that. When I read the bit about the chemtrails and the poison, yeah, I cannot comprehend. I mean, I know why. I know the truth. But it's just so hard to wrap my head around how people cannot see. Is it just that they really can't see it, or is it the mind control? Is their mind playing tricks with them? Because today I had to take some pictures of my sky, which I try not to do often these days, because it was just really hard to explain. It was streaky. It was a streaky blue and white sky. It had been sprayed previously, drifted over, and was being manipulated by frequencies. Simple. But it was all over the whole sky and all day. And during the afternoon we got instant black clouds that didn't do anything, and they just disappeared, and people just carried on with their busy lives, didn't even look up. So I just wanted to add that. Keyword, say geoengineering and not the actual. Thank you. I'll remember that. I'll have to make a list of words. Okay, I'd like to welcome Dezert-Owl. Before I do, we're going to try something new. For every program, we're going to go through. I'm going to get the Desert's Dictionary up on the screen. We've tried that before, and it worked okay. So we're going to get the dictionary up, and we're going to go through each letter of the alphabet. That will help me understand things more, and definitely help with the deprogramming. Welcome Dezert-Owl. How's it going?
Hey Ninja, it's going, and I hope things are going well down under with you. And it's a tough world, getting tougher every day, isn't it?
It is indeed, but we're doing it, so it's all we can do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're watching your videos. That last one you did, it was a short one, but it was very creative. You're just really getting pretty talented at this internet thing.
Oh, thank you. Was that the one with the fancy grid? The grid GIF at the end. It's just a GIF, does it? GIF.
Well,
yeah.
I'm just saying the overall presentation is you got you're developing your talent, and that's good for you. I was out in here washing my hands, so I wasn't quite ready.
Okay, I
We
apologize.
got a little delay today, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And
I know.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so the alphabet, we'll do the alphabet in a little while. I want to get into some scriptures, and I'm not sure which way I want to go. I wanted to answer Kip's question. He's one of our listeners who's a truck driver, and he asked, what are the two pillars? So I guess I'll hold on that just temporarily, because that's a good question.
Yeah.
He was referring to 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 8, I think it is, and I got my pages tagged. I just need to open it. But it's interesting when you compare the different translations from Lamb said the Benton and King James, and when you know the patterns, it's right. So there's really a story there, and so he was. I'm glad he asked the question, because it actually reveals something. And so he's obviously covered the scriptures himself. He's very familiar with them, and therefore the fact that he just in fact he I think was up on some other scriptures that were very good. Yeah, about the sun when he referred to Psalms I think it was chapter 19 verse 4 on the throne of the sun, he was picking up on the terminology. So he's read the scripture. Well, he said he's the son of a preacher, so go figure. So anyway, we've got a wonderful new listener with Kip who will stop by so we can answer, and if not, we can do it anyway today, and then
he can listen back when he can.
Whenever next time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so very good. A few words, since you're highlighting the word aspect of the program with your banner today in the beginning. They switched out words, so
I love that picture.
I think give a little mini presentation on some words before we go into the dictionary and all scriptures and myths. Okay, so actually, I think I'll do the Forbidden History of America after this, because I want to do that as a second. Okay, and want to welcome any listeners out there that are new, and also, of course, all of our regulars, Love and Shelley G from Forbidden History Live, and anyone else. We're missing Lynn today. Hope she's okay.
I just want to say hi to Lynn. She's out with her mum, and her phone's hasn't got much power left in it, so she might not be able to join.
Okay.
So g'day, Lynn. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And spirit, the word spirit, we've in our reading have given different expressions. Now, when we're dealing with original thought, of course, we have no original writings, we have no original documents, but it is possible to know original root form, and so the original root forms are key. In other words, when we're talking about 1-letter, 2-letter, 3-letter, what we would call parent root forms, that can absolutely be known. When we look at the patterns, we're looking at patterns as we see them through. The Hebrew is relative because they're carrying certain elements within the Hebrew of the original thought, but then better to go into the Aramaic, because Aramaic is getting closer. But the only problem is they switched out the alphabet circa 300 or the 4th century AD with the Roman Empire. The priesthood wanting to control the Eastern Christianity took away the what's called the Phoenician alphabet, or the capital letters that are on the driver's license. That was the original alphabet. It was of a more primitive type, but the letters are still identical in their nature. It's just that they changed the shapes and variables that were more primitive, and of course they did that as well because they didn't want to give away the code. That's part of the nature of secret societies and controlling factions. But what's ironic is with the alphabet that's on the driver's license today, it's like they said, we don't care anymore. And the Kabbalists, obviously, who would be behind the Jewish Kabbalistic and Freemasonic traditions, also with the Jesuits, they're the head of Freemasonry, really, and the Vatican. They put right on the face of our driver's license on the modern day, what we call Phoenician alphabet, the capital letters, aka also war diction, because they turned it from a peaceful form of communication, which also was a hieratic code because of its extreme ability to convey thought. They put it right on a driver's license in the most perfected way that astounds me. You would just think that they would you still use just like with the Hebrew. Hebrew, you look at those stupid square root block letters, and you would never want to have to learn Hebrew, right? Just like you wouldn't want to learn the substituted for the capital letters Greek. They did it to the Aramaic-speaking Christians, and all of the Eastern, took away their alphabet, took away the Greek alphabet, and switched out the Hebrew alphabet. All of them.
Wow.
See, across the board, all of them.
Yeah.
Why? And then we find it's now a commercial code that's used, commercially in the sense of, it's legal diction. The capital letters, like when you go to court, they put your name, which correctly should be title, but they gave you a name instead, which means you're in the mud. They put in all capital letters. and so that's not really you. It's a corporation. Just like you look on the side of a ship, right? You look on the side of a ship, and well, it's all capital letters, right? Titanic, all capital letters, right? You don't see upper and lower. You don't see all small. So they gave the Greeks these little squigglies. I would also call that demonic, even though it doesn't use a line like the Pseudo-Sanskrit, which is another form of demonic, and it's, I call it Pseudo-Sanskrit because the true Sanskrit, which is what Sanskrit implies, sand script, something you could write on the sand, is only straight lines, and that's of course the capital letters that we see on the driver's license. I imagine you probably don't have it that way in your country, Ninja, but I don't know. But in
I don't
the
know
US, we
because
have,
I don't have a driver's license, so I can't look at it to check.
right. But on the legal style, if you go in the court, they'd probably put your name in all capital letters, and that's called an item sonan. It looks like you, it sounds like you, but it's not you, and so therefore you're not really obligated to respond to it. If you do, you're a fool, because you just bought into a fraud. You just admitted that you're dead, and that you're a corporate trust, and a surety for the security being your birth certificate, and therefore legally, statutorily dead and bankrupt with no rights, and a peon, and any other adjective similar you could throw in, okay, because they hate our guts. The people that are running our world, they robbed us. This is what I'm talking about. They robbed us of our heritage. They robbed us of our free thinking. They have robbed us. And so, but the good news is, because of the great breath of the wind and fire, the Holy Spirit, we can get it back. We can get these things back. So with the original thought, getting back now to my initial point, that we don't have any original copy of anything, but we do have the letters. We have the original letters. Okay, so that is original copy. That I just actually contradicted myself. We do have original copy because original letters. So we can look at the modern A, then we can look at the primitive A. We can look at the modern, all the other letters, and compare them. They've been evolved, like the M also. And those letters, by the way, that we see in the primitive, what we call the Phoenician alphabet, are flipped up. Okay, so they're flipped upside down, and then they're reversed like a mirror, and put it in a mirror, and then it's reversed that way as well. So it's
Desert.
And this is part of the game that they've been doing with this very important code. It's a very important code because it tells the history of our universe. Go ahead.
Wow, you just reminded me of something. Back in school, we used to play around with words and letters and things. We'd write, like we had our own little code. We'd write letters to each other backwards and then put them in the mirror.
Oh yeah.
To read. Yes, that's what. Yeah.
I guess that's because you were upside down, and therefore it was the only way you could see it right side up. I don't know. What?
No, we'd actually write the word. We'd actually write it backwards on the piece of paper to each other, and then put it up in the mirror at school, and
How did you write backwards? That must have been pretty tough, huh?
It took a bit of practice, but once.
In other words, they taught you to write the letters backwards. Is that what you're telling me?
wrote it backwards so that you could see it properly, only when looking at it in a mirror. Yeah.
Yeah, Yellow says they did that too in Deutschland. She just put that in the text.
Wow, that's so cool.
Right. So there you go. You see, so anyway, it's that's interesting that they wanted to do that, but it's like they're revealing, their trickery in that sense. But as you can see, when you look at the capital letters, and then you compare it like with what we see with Hebrew today, there is no comparison. Hebrew is as pathetic looking as anything. Same with those little teeny weeny little Greek letters that are not Greek. Okay, because if you look on the monuments in Greece, well, all the monuments in Greece have the capital letters. You can practically read it right now. If you had a little, in depth with the Indo-Germanic and the, and Latin and that, then all of a sudden you can literally read the walls in Greece. So the thing is, there's a shell game going on, and within the shell game, we're the victims, because they're the people running our world. Obviously, they've got books that we don't have access to. They have knowledge that we don't have access to. They have the lineage going back. They know the game. They know what's going on, and the point again was that we do have original. We have the original alphabet in the modern and in the ancient, and the modern is tipping us off because they perfected the symbols in the modern alphabet. And so that's what first opened up to me. It was looking at the A as a pyramid, as a compass, the architect's compass, A for architect, right? And then
Yep.
you can imagine, you take the compass, you can create a circle, and so there's the two primary vowels, the A and the O. Although the first letter is actually a consonant and it's silent, and then the vowel A is the one that's speaking. So there's also a little bit of spiritual, metaphorical philosophy that goes with it, and we do get some of this through the rabbinical tradition because they're holding the keys. That's what Yeshua said to them. You are holding the keys to eternity, and you're not going in, nor are you letting anybody else go in. And the same with the Vatican. They're holding the keys. You see the keys behind the Papa, right? And he's got his little, the keys, the golden keys are right there behind him on the wall or on this chair, wherever. And so they're acknowledging they've got the keys, but they're not giving them to you. See, and they're not going either, and they're not going. So they've robbed the keys, and the keys are in these symbols. And so it starts by reading the key. You read the symbols. You get familiar with them. And then at one point, then when you add the two symbols together, the two letters, then letters is an improper term. A letter is a page with words on it. That's okay. Which is it? Is a letter a word with a page with words on it, or is a letter a symbol? No, the letter is the page with a bunch of symbols on it. And so in the 1800s, they called our letters what we call those little individual units. They called them symbols. Then they switched it out in the 1900s and the 20th century and called them letters. You see, because they didn't want us to get the picture that is in our face that they're symbols. They are symbols of a higher conscious order, and we can read them and then get influenced. There's an influence, and so that's what's happened. The symbols influenced me to be able to make the connections because they're so clearly speaking. And the modern are absolutely most essential, but you can connect them then with the picture in the past. So like the H, as an example, the H, capital H, we're dealing with capital letters now, even though the small letters are also tipping us off. Okay, the small letters are also symbols, and since they're given to us by the occult world, then also there's another narrative that goes along with them. But the most important out the gate is the capital letters. So if we look at the capital H, then let's look at the old capital H in the most primitive Aramaic script, and then we'll see that the H actually had a top line crossbar and a bottom line crossbar as well, so that it created two cubes, right, one on top of the other.
Okay. Yeah, I'm picturing it. Yeah.
Right, and you'll see it whenever you see it. You'll know it. You won't miss it in the Aramaic because it's so specific of a form and easy to identify. Unlike the M, which looks like an upside down, and it looks like a W, and it's got a long tail on it, and the W form is way up in the air. It's on the top side. When you flip it over, the M is then the way the capital M looks today, only with a long tail going up, like as if it could be a lawnmower, and you pull the handle back, because it's got the long tail going up in the air, which implies the virgin light that came down with the two pillars, because the V is in the middle of the capital M. Then what do you have on each side of the V holding it up? Two pillars, right? You got another stick coming down on each side. So these sticks are symbols by themselves. You got to break the components of the letter apart. You got to two columns, so therefore you got two columns holding up a V. And so why is the long stick on the ancient one? And it's because it implies that it's the Virgin Mother, light, that came down to bring forth creation, you see? So there's a story behind it. And this is probably the only one that's ever made the expression of that definitive art form from the ancient past, you see? Nobody's talking about this like this, you know? I've never heard anyone. I've only received it from, Yeshua and meditating and praying and studying. You know, this is where it comes from. This is an ancient science and philosophy and the role and spirituality all rolled into one. It is a science. It's an exact science, but at the same time it's fluid because even though I tell you everything I think I see in it, there's still more.
Yeah.
You know, and when it starts opening up to you, it's happened to me over the years when I've been sharing it on the broadcasting. Then somebody says, "Well, I see this," and it's like, "Whoa, you're right." You know?
Yeah, and then you see more and more and more. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're like a chain of computers plugged in, and then we become a supercomputer, and we're all getting the pictures, right? We're all seeing it, or we have a different life experience, and so that helps to influence as well. You know where you come from, and like you said, you were writing backwards in school. Different things that we've experienced will have an effect on our psyche to compare with. So it's an amazing adventure, and it's so sad, that we're denied the beauty of this science because it does take us back to the beginning. It takes us back to our origin, and of course nobody ever talks about either that this is what was breathed into Adam. This is the code. That's the reason it's hiding. In other words, right in front of us now, but it was always manipulated, flipped over, reversed, and then the roots we don't have. We can't go any further back. It looks like other than as far back as the Hittites and as far back as Sumeria, and also as far back as Mezar, Egypt, or into India with their pseudo-Sanskrit. But that's not the original. You see, the original is in the capital letters. So they got us to think one is the Sanskrit when it's not, and it's really demotic, just like Arabic, just like the later version of the Aramaic script in Syria, and it's really the capital letters that is the Sanskrit. So it's this is like I always say, I'm not smart enough to figure this stuff out. It's revealed. I've been on the trail. This was my destiny to have these things revealed to me because Yeshua is giving me the original thought for the original thought transliteration project. It's because the lies are so great, he just had to give it to somebody who's not even worthy of it. He said, okay, whether you like it or not, I'm giving this to you. You better learn to deal with it and get your act together and get to work. And so, like he says, whoever he gives a 25-cent piece to, he expects more than somebody he only gives a penny to. And so he gave me the 25-cent piece, and I've really got to. Or a talent of gold. It's more properly a better way to put it. A talent of gold. A talent is the biggest coin in the ancient time. A talent could literally buy you probably 500 slaves or something. It was such a valuable coin. But that's really what's happened here because it's a phenomenon. This is a phenomenon in our time to have unlocked the great mystery of our past, what we call the forbidden history, but also the alphabet in its great mystery. They've enslaved us, and this is the potential to set us free. So that's what we're doing. So I was going to go into a few words. I'm you have a different you don't have that beautiful dock on the bay today, and so you started out with the theme in the beginning.
I do.
You switched our words. So I figured I'd better. No. Well, I figured I better. I got inspired to follow that theme because that's what you were putting up there, And so I now go back to the word spirit because Eshafare, is when you build back the original components, which they pulled out of the words, then they did it outside the Vatican at a place called the College of Abbreviators. They abbreviated our words by the Jesuit Curii, but the you're in your eye, you got mud in your eye, you can't see. In America they graduate school with a Masonic mortarboard on their head, showing they got mud in their eye and they can't see. The Masons are having a real laugh about that one. And but so spirit is Aisha Fare. The T is silent. But if we look at the word, it's modern in the corrupt form. Look at what it is. It's a spear, right? So what did they do to Yeshua when he was nailed to the tree? They gave him the spear, right? There's the spirit. Let's spear him, right? Let's make sure he's dead, right? The spirit. They gave him the spirit, right? The spear A, but it would be the spear A. Why? Because a spear, a tip of a spear, looks like a letter A, right? In one form or another. A Native American arrowhead looks like an A, right?
Yeah, I have one of those.
All right. So there is the spear ray. The spear ray is the A, and it's the Aisha spear ray, and the A is the primary, and then at the end the AY is the I. But literally, in a literal sense, then I saw also in Fare, the Fare is the primitive root for the word fire, and so another way to say the spirit would be the Aisha fire. You see, so the real spirit is the Aisha fire. Now, when it said that in Genesis that the spirit moved upon the face of the water, whenever I read it, because it's such a poor, corrupt translation, I always thought that it was saying, that the spirit was moving across the ocean, and the water, and the planet is here, and Earth is here, and the spirit's blowing across, like with the wind, across the ocean. But that's not what it meant, because the Earth wasn't even here yet. You see, what it really should be translated as is the breath, the great breath that breathed, moved upon the cosmic waters, was moving across the cosmic waters, the great ocean. You see, the one that's above, the cosmic sea, also known as the Gaelic Sea, the Gaelic for the voice that came out of it.
Desert.
Aid meaning the light, the sound of the light that came out of it, and of this cosmic ocean. And so the breath moved upon the cosmic waters and breathed into the star. And there's your Aisha fire. See, there's the spirit. The Aisha fire is the spirit.
Wow.
Okay? And the Aisha Vor is the word, as we say in the beginning, is the Aisha Vor. The Aisha fire, the Aisha Vor, okay? And so it's the Aisha fire of light. So that's the spirit, and that's the logo. It's the symbol of the spirit. The sun is the symbol of the spirit. It's the symbol of Yeshua. It is the great logo. Nobody, I've never in all my life ever heard anyone mention that the logo, which is a symbol, obviously, is the sun. How can that be, Ninja? Huh? How can that be?
Wow. Can I ask a question?
Absolutely, but I just want to say that we hear the word logo all of our lives. We know what a logo is, right?
Yes, it's a symbol.
It's a symbol. Yeah.
Wow.
And then when it comes to reading our scriptures, we never get the picture. What mind control,
Exactly.
Yeah.
We see it, but we don't. We know it, but we don't. All at once. Yeah. Yeah, you said, it's gone. You said, Gaia, somewhere in there. I really hated, I didn't want to interrupt.
Fare? Nation Fare?
No, you said, I don't know how you pronounced it. G-I-A.
The Galaxy? The Galaxy?
Yeah, and I just saw, was wowed. Because there's reference to Mother Earth and Gaia.
Yeah, Gaia. There's Gaia. You can say Gaia, but the I is corruption. It's more correctly Gaia.
Yeah. I just saw it all connecting when you said that.
Oh, well, it's actually correctly Gaia. See, again, all the words are abbreviated.
Yeah.
And so when we see the form, popping up, it's usually correct. And so it's Gayal, meaning the G for Geo, meaning that which is round. The I, A-Y, the gay, the round I that goes round, the round I that goes round is the Gayal. It is the mother, Gia, Earth, right?
Yes.
But also, it also has an implication on the sun at the same time and the moon, because everything goes round. Everything spins.
Everything is in motion. Does it? Yes. Wow.
Yeah, it has to be, or it's dead, right?
Yep.
It's not moving.
Yep.
It's dead.
That's why if we're not, I've felt like this all my life. If I'm not learning or at least trying to figure something out,
you're dead.
Yeah, I feel stuck. Yeah.
Right. Right. We die. We die because we have failed to move forward, and that's death. Because everything's in flux. You're either going up or you're going down. You can't just be still. I mean, you can be in, of course, as a in meditation and being in the present moment, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's different.
But
yeah.
We're talking about progression of knowledge and learning, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just I'm looking for a graphic. Please continue. This is amazing.
So on the last program we did, which I think was on Forbidden History Live, and we had the logo. Shelley had pulled up the logo of the NASA, and then we were talking about the sporum is there. They're telling us that we're a serpent. Then the serpent tongue is in front of it, the red tongue, and then after the program, I was looking at that logo still and realized, and I decided to try to read it backwards to see if it revealed anything. There it was. The NASA backwards is Ashan, Ashan. There's the word Asian.
It's right there.
So when they're saying the word serpent by putting the sporum going around like the Ouroboros eating its tail, then Ashan also, of course, implies that he's the serpent. They're implying that the Ashan, being because it is the word NASA, is the serpent as well. So these words are codes, and so therefore, not only then does Ashan imply also, because man, as we call him, which means really criminal and sinner, and worse in the Talmud, is the serpent. Man is the serpent. Then, if we call him Ashan, he's still the serpent because the flesh is the serpent. But then, because we see the word Ashan as in Asian on the big map, and then we got Asia Minor, and we always think that means the little Asia, but it doesn't. It means the light of Asia, and the Asia being the royal means royal eye, but therefore Ashan, by implying serpent. The reason that we see Asia on the big map is not. It has nothing to do with the continent. It has nothing to do with the continent. It's talking about the Silk Road, because you have to have a royal eye to go down that Silk Road, which went 4,000 miles in variable directions across the greatest desert, barren wilderness, on the planet, from all the way from the Pacific Ocean, from the beginnings of China all the way down to through Pakistan, Afghanistan, into northern India, Tibet, all the way to the Middle East, and across the Great Mountains, down into Africa. So you had to have a royal eye. You didn't go out there without having a royal eye. In other words, you had to be probably a star navigator, right? Because if you didn't know how to navigate by the stars, you'd go out there, you'd never get home. You'd die.
Exactly.
So that's why now connected with NASA, right? What are you doing with NASA? You're watching the stars. You see? I just got the connection.
Wow. Before, but, yes. Wow. So many wows.
Making the point. You see, you had to be a star navigator. NASA is all about the stars. Read it backwards. You got Ashan. Ashan means royal eye. That's all they want us to do is look up there. Look up there, get mesmerized, and forget who you are at the same time. Right?
Yes. I'm just, wow. Desert, 20 years ago, I was doing that. astronomy and worked in a planetarium, doing the two contradictions
That's
of
right.
this world
That's right. So
at once.
how fitting that you end up getting the real star picture, huh?
Yes, wow. Just wow. Yeah, wow.
Nice graphic. I like it. That's beautiful. Thank you. That is beautiful.
No worries. Anything for this program, Desert. Seriously, just wow. Please continue. I'm loving it.
Right.
And I'd
All
like
right. Well,
to.
the next word, I only have a few here. The
Okay.
next word is Zevona. Zevona being the more primitive, complete, not abbreviated, as the word Zion. Zion is their little plastic toy word, but it's expanded into the original thought. Then it's Zevon. We can hear if we take the ZA out of the front, we get Avon or Yvonne. Yeah, the YVONNE. There's the form. The Scandinavian has the most complete form of what we think of as heaven. The word heaven in the modern English means the even or the evening when the sun goes down. So it means the darkness and not the light. But Yvonne, YVONNE, is really resplendent on what we think of as going back to the light, the Zevon. So Yvonne is the most correct form of that original, but we have to put the TZA in front of it, the Zevon. So there's a T, because these letters are power letters. The T, as the cross, we know, is the last letter of the original alphabet. It's a power letter. It was sacrificed for transformation, for the tav. The end means the end, which is the beginning. When you get to the end, you get to the beginning, hopefully. So the Zevon, Von, VONN, silent A, Zevon, silent A at the end, ZAYVONNA, the two prime letters in the middle, the Y and the V. In this instance, the Y represents the yellow of the sun, the V represents the smaller V for the moon. In the virgin sense, though, not in the horror, that belongs to the occult. It's just talking about the bigger versus the small. That's why the woman is smaller than the man, because in the primal sense, man represents the power of the sun, and they're the woman, the softer, gentler version of the light, being the moon. So everything is, all three are represented in each. In the sun, we've got Father, Mother, Son, SON, and Spirit, and then same with the moon, Father, it can represent Yeshua, the moon can represent Yeshua as the softer light that we can look upon, because we can't look at the brightness of the sun that represents Yahweh, because it's so powerful and, burn your eyes. So we look at the gentler Yeshua until Yeshua helps clean up our act and helps us put on the perfection. And then at one point he introduces us to the Father, the great breath of the wind and fire, and then he finally breathes into us, and we can look directly at his light. You see, these are all metaphors. This is nature speaking in its in its greatest aspect, and nobody reads these metaphors or these symbols. So the same with the earth. We have down here the father and mother making love and bringing forth seed, right? Bringing forth seed in the and so mother, father, son are all here as well, and spirit is here as well. So it's all the great mysteries. So literally, Zevona then, by virtue of its letter form, means the powerful eye of the one. The powerful eye of the one. Okay, and that's because we can't see, the eternal or the infinite light, and unless we have of that powerful eye of the one that he has to give us. You see, we're receiving something from him, like we go to school to learn, right? But we're in school always. We're in the school. The original word for school is shul. The Scottish writing put the C in front of the S, corrupted it so we wouldn't get the picture that it's shul, right? And so if we're buried in the waters of purification, we're in Yal Shul in Ba. Yal Shul in Ba.
Wow.
The knowledge of enlightenment that goes round, the knowledge of the serpent, right? So we're in school in shul, right?
Yes. Yes, I see.
So
I
they
see.
knew shul meant knowledge.
Yep.
Of course it does.
Yep.
The SH is the serpent and the breath. The S is the serpent. H is the breath. The two O's are sun and moon. The L is symbols for enlightenment. En, that which came down. An, correctly. An, the I that came down. Vat, VAT, the serpent. There's the tongue. The V is the serpent tongue as well. That's why Vatican starts with the V, because there's serpent tongue all the way. You know, even the
Yes,
mitre on the
yes
top of the
they
head.
are.
The
Yeah.
doesn't be cut. No.
Wow. Please continue.
right.
Just let me know when you want me to put the dictionary up.
All right. Well,
yeah.
I'm doing a primer today. We're not even going to go into letter A because I got other stuff we're going to do. I'm going to do these words. This will be a primer. Just let people know what we're talking about. I can see our listenership has dropped off, so people are obviously getting bored with the presentation. I don't know why.
I don't know why either. It's amazing. Yeah.
This is the essence of our universe. These are the seeds of light. That's what I'm planting here. Are the seeds of light. But it says that the people prefer the darkness over the light. It's easier. Jesus loves me. Yes, I know. For the Bible tells me. So what more could I need than that? Right? Give me a break. While you're still living like you're in the grave and doing. So we've got to hear things we've never heard before, see things we've never heard before, wrap our mind around it, do a little homework, put a little effort into it, because it doesn't come to you while you're passively sitting on the couch somewhere, watching television. It comes through a sacrifice. That's what Yeshua taught us, right? With sacrifice. If we don't sacrifice, our lives by giving our time to what is most important, to turning off the things that will never amount to anything. The entertainment. The entertainment that's here. There's every kind of diversion. One day we're no longer going to have pizza and soda. We're no longer going to have ice cream. We're no longer going to have sex. We're no longer going to have those things that are temporary and belong to this world. So we have to realize there's something going on that's more important and that demands some of our attention. And otherwise, we lose it all. We lose it all.
Exactly.
Ice cream, pizza, soda, and eternity. Everything. We lose it all. To be out there as a spirit naked floating through the darkness of space or something. I don't know where we go if we don't make it, okay? But it's certainly not where we're going to want to be when it all plays out. Because we will be held accountable for what we did in our life and what we didn't do. And there will be a consequence as a result of that. And I always imagine you're just floating through space naked and feeling the cold. Where the lie was that we're going to burn and torture forever. I don't think so.
If
It's a Babylonian Vatican charade.
Flip everything around and flip everything around and look at it opposite. And
the Great Father would not want to be tortured forever. We know our fathers would not, and therefore the Great Father would not.
Yeah.
His whole intent and purpose for everything he's done here is to get our attention so that we can go back. In other words, there had to be the lower creation. It had to be so that he could then make the higher creation. So Elohim made the lower creation. Yahweh, the great breath of the wind and fire, the Holy Spirit wants to make the greater creation. So it's our choice. It's our choice.
I have a question.
Us.
Sorry to interrupt.
Beautiful way. I like that. Thank you.
No
You
worries.
can actually take out the A's, and then you have the
And
perfect
just have the V's.
Yeah, because the A is the...
I can do that.
But,
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. It'll have to be for next time. But yeah.
Waves, the letters are creating the symbol of the sound waves, and the ocean is reminding us that the sound waves are still coming in. Right? The sound waves are still coming in.
Yeah.
Never stop.
Yeah. Constantly in motion. My question. Did we as individual, free-thinking people, choose to come here to learn this lesson? Did we choose to come here? Or were we...
I don't remember anybody ever asking me. Do you?
No.
Okay. So whoever created that story just pulled it out of thin air because it's not written in any book. I don't have any memory of it, so how could it be relevant? We're here. That's all that matters, right?
Okay.
I think somebody else wanted us to be here, though, right?
Yeah.
Somebody else? Okay. So with hope that we would do the right thing.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just... The wheels are turning. The wheels are turning in my mind. Yeah, I'm just... yeah. I don't know if I said that question right.
No, I got it.
I just, yeah.
Did we volunteer to come here?
Yeah.
I don't remember anybody asking me if I ever wanted to be here. I would have said no, I'm sure.
I remember having that question in my mind from about the age of 4 or 5 years old. Yeah. And it never went away. Like with a lot of people, all those sorts of questions when you're little and look at the world with wonder. Yeah, I've noticed most people don't bother with those kinds of questions anymore, because of all the mind control and the programming. But
yeah,
that question never left.
When we're little, we're always, why?
Yes,
why it is,
yes.
why? And then one day our parents keep telling us stop asking questions.
Yep.
And we stop asking questions.
I didn't stop. Yeah, I just...
And we think we know everything.
Yeah.
No, I graduated from high school. I already know everything. I don't need to know anymore. What are you talking about? I watch television. I go to movies. My preacher wouldn't lie to me. My politician wouldn't lie to me. My family wouldn't lie to me. You know? No. It's all a lie. It's one big, fat, giant lie. And we have to unravel the mystery. And even when the people think they figured it out, they haven't figured nothing out. You know, like I saw that in the Patriot movement, what we call the Patriot movement in America. The people figured out the government's lying to them, and so now they think they've come to another spiritual level because they figured out they're being lied to. But they haven't unraveled anything. They only know that they're being lied to. And so they got some of the lies, but they don't have all the lies. And then they get into, because it's not just political. It's spiritual. It's religious. What's that word?
Conspiratorial.
Eugenics. They're engineering our minds and our world and our it's been well pointed out with the abortion thing. That they tried to get more African Americans into the abortion clinics because there's this underlying prevalence of hatred towards people who are of darker color, and so they've been victims over and over and over of this. But of course, even the whites are when they thought they were making the Africans free in America. They created the 14th Amendment, and what they really did was they didn't give them. They just gave them statutory slavery, legal slavery again by legislation, and then they brought all the white and yellow and everybody else Native American in at the same time. So they made everybody slaves. They set nobody free. There is no freedom. There is no free thinking. Only in rare instance of those who can wake up, because if you are following the lie, how can you be free? You're like the rat in the cage going around in a circle, but you never come out of the cage, you know? Next word is another good one. Is I can tell you, I've been watching some documentaries on the, on Sumer and Sumeria, and they're really playing up the Anunnaki alien ace card now, and that some Anunnakis coming in on, the Nibiru, and they've been waiting for the last 35,000 years to come back so they can harvest some more gold and harvest some more test tube babies or whatever. You know, it's such a bunch of garbage. I gotta say, it is so blatant for me. I know that unless you've been studying this stuff all your life, it's got to be a little challenging. But basically, the reason they're playing it up so big with the Sumerian culture, which is the one next to Meitzar in Egypt, is one of the big cultures that we see after the flood. Of course, Meitzar was big before the flood. Egypt, falsely called, was big as a civilization prior to the flood. But right after the flood, the big one that we see next is Sumeria in Padam Aram, or Mesopotamia in the Greek. But the what came to us was the Epic of Gilgamesh, and about the story of the flood, the laws of Hammurabi, and actually just read in the dictionary yesterday of the Sumerian Aryan that it was Kamura. And there's the word camera. I just said it.
Yeah, I heard that. Yep. Yep. I remember us talking about Kodak and camera. Yep. Yeah. Please continue.
So the word rabbi comes out of that, and they were all following the law, even in our scriptures in the book of Genesis. Like when they found, like when Laban went and chased Jacob and says, you got my idols, and he says, go look in all my tents. You find the idols, whoever stole them dies. The reason he would make that statement because the laws of Hammurabi in Mesopotamia were enforced. That was after the flood. All the way same in Egypt. The same thing when Tamar played the harlot and was able to obtain seed through her father-in-law, Judah, because he wouldn't give the third son to her because the first two sons died, and he thought there was something wrong with Tamar, which was not true. Then when he found out she played the harlot, he says, "Well, bring her forward and let's burn her to death," because those were the laws of Hammurabi. You see, so the culture in Sumeria, in Mesopotamia, Padam Zavram, correctly, Fedam Zavram, because it's the sovereign. The Aryans were living in there, in this center point on planet Earth, the central area of between the two rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates. Not their original names. They want us to think that this is the proverbial Eden when the atom is the sun. All the charade that's been going on, everything's a lie. But so because all of these tens of thousands of clay writings came out, and even some of them have the original Aramaic, not just the cuneiform, which looks like chicken feet, but the original Aramaic is also found on some of these reliefs. That they got to control the narrative, and so academia, are brain dead anyway, and they got 10 ears because if they don't say what they're told to say, they're tenor, which means their perpetual paycheck is going to be taken away from them. So nobody can tell the truth about what all of this is really all about. Why did they lace all of Iraq, all of this area with depleted uranium? Well, because nobody's going to be living there anymore. They don't want anybody going there because there is the evidence of all of our ancient culture, okay, of who we are, where we are, why we are, when we are. And so this Anunnaki nonsense has to prevail and get everybody thinking, yeah, we're made in test tubes, and the Anunnaki come by every 35,000 years, and they come down, they wanted to harvest the gold. They did it in South Africa, No, of course, man wouldn't want gold, right? Man wouldn't be interested in gold. The Mediterranean Egyptians or the people in India or anywhere else, they're not interested in gold. And of course, man's not real. Only the Anunnaki are real. I mean, let's put first things first. I think mankind is here. He's real. He's a pretty damn good manipulator of it. Forget the French, but I'm getting a little agitated by by the lies. By these prevalent lies that are so well presented on these documentaries.
Yeah.
And nobody's telling the truth. Nobody.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. It's frustrating.
Or Anunnaki are coming, but both are wrong. Because Jesus is you pigs now. That's what it means, you know?
Yep.
In the Indo-Germanic, it's done everything to deceive our world. Everything. And we had 4 listeners for the better part of the program. We're actually up to 7. I can't get over it, you know?
Because this is
like,
the truth,
when are we
doesn't
ever
it?
going to break 10?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
When are we ever going to break 10? Nobody. They love the lies better than they love the truth. That's what it says. That they would embrace the darkness and hate the light.
Yep.
Easier. Less work.
That's it. Truth is simple, and lies are complicated, but lies are easier, and truth is harder. And wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Wow.
let's analyze the word Anunnaki, okay?
Okay.
And so we got our technicians on Yalov and Yosheli there. So we got our technicians. They can type.
Yep.
And add the words. And we got An. An is as a prime root means one. A-N. The way we would literally spell Anunnaki, let's start with that, would be A-N-O-O-N-A-K-I. I think they spell it with a U, but the U is a code for Q-O. So A-N-O-O-N-A-K-I. And these are all variables because, again, we have no originals, and they work with consonants. You added the vowels, but we do have those original clay tablets, of course, but they're not doing the right presentation to teach us anything with all that. You have to go get the dictionaries and learn it yourself, basically. So Anunnaki, A-N means one, and then the O-O means with vision. There's your owl, add an L, and you've got Ul, Anul, and in fact it may be Anul.
Noon is there.
That's the wild card vowel. Oh, in fact, they don't even teach us that as a vowel, you see, but yet what do we call vowels? The vowel L. The vowel L. So right in the word, they're putting the L in our face, and we don't even recognize that that's also a vowel, L. No restriction, pure flow of air outside of your mouth. L. Okay? That's Theopolis, and that is the foot walking, the capital L is the foot walking, the Elohim. Okay, so with vision, and one, who, with vision, na is the prime root for now, the nail, like the Nile River, the Nile, as we talk about on here. N is the prime root for that which came down the sliding board, the na, which is correctly now, N-A-Y-L, and now, Anunnaki may have been the way it was said back then. Anunnaki, you see there's more to the word than meets the eye. And but when you know the prime root, as I said, if you know the parent root, you can know the entire form of what is being expressed and complete it and take away the abbreviation and fill in the blank, because that's how they did it back then, verbally as well as with vision of only the consonants. They didn't write the vowels. They spoke it out as they were doing it. Okay, so that which came down, who came down, and then Kai, and I just learned this missing element over the last week or two, and I think it was on either in I don't remember if it was in the dictionary now or on a documentary about Sumer, but Kai is also K-I, or also K-A-Y, but properly K-H-A-Y, K. There's the key, the chi, the key, all of those things, which is Kai primary, also means the earth, okay? So the Anunnaki, the Anunnaki, which means one with vision who came down to earth. Now let's ask the question, is there anybody who came down with vision on earth? Well, if we go to Genesis, which is correctly Galnesha, they corrupted that word as well. They corrupt all the words, of course, because they love having us read Big Latin while they read the pure form in their little secret underground, you know. But there was somebody who was first made on earth. His name is Adam, and also Adam, K change the vowel, you get both variables. And Adam means the eye of creation. Adom means the eye of judgment. Dome, that's why they put the dome on the courthouse. Are you able to follow me, Ninja? Can you see there's
Yes.
pictures in our world that give the picture to us?
Yes, I saw. I was looking at the KI on the end of Anunnaki, and thinking key before you got into it, and then you started saying all the other chi and the PHEY, and I could picture the pages in your dictionary.
All
And
right,
no, I'm not
yeah,
cheating.
no,
I don't have it up on the screen.
Right. So let me keep going here. So
Yeah.
Adam, it says in our scriptures,
Yeah.
was the first made of anything on earth. So once
Yep.
the oceans and the land was here, two parts, male, female, nothing else was growing yet. No fish, nothing. And other than the volcanic eruptions. And it said that a mist, which it means mystery, and in Philo it says fountain came forth, and out of it flowed something, but it wasn't water, it was lava, and that's why Adam is known as red earth, because he was made from the fiery, purified magma. And magma, the word lava, there's the word love, that's where we get the word love from lava. You can see it, right? L-A-V-A is L-O-V-A, change the vowels,
Yep.
you get there's right?
Yep.
Okay? So made from the love. That's the infinite flowing. That represents the infinite flowing. That all of creation is continually flowing. The sun never stops going to work. The sun keeps flowing. The oceans keep flowing. The nature keeps flowing. It's the love that the Father has for us. Our resources, are just so phenomenal. They're pretty well depleting them all now, in so many ways, but nonetheless, the expression of that love is its infinite nature, that it keeps on flowing. So then it says that once the Adam was formed, that he was then taken up into the Eden, which correctly is the atom, and it says in the east, by the way, as well. And in the east is, well, what's in the east? It's the sunrise. Oh, breathe a little bit. Okay, I'm feeling better now. And there's Kip. Hey, good to have you, Kip.
I was just going to say. I just want to say good day to Kip. How's it going?
Right.
Drive
Gotta
safely,
answer your
please.
question from the last program, buddy. I see it, and now I've got a little mini presentation out of the deal. It was a good question. Okay, driving and listening, wonderful. I figured you could do that. I actually had dinner and watched television while I was going down the road, so I lived from never go home. But anyway, so we're talking about Anunnaki, and the word literally means one with vision who came down to earth. Okay, so we have the first man. He's taken up to the throne of the sun, and it says, while Yeshua, who is the great Elohim, is making everything, it said that he wanted to see what Adam would call them, and so Adam named everything on earth, and in our universe, down here, this lower universe. I'm not saying the upper, but the lower. We have two universes: the lower, the inverted, and the higher, the external. And then it says that after all creation was done, then he fell asleep, and his falling asleep was the transition from the garden of the atom, where he had perpetual longevity, because he was in the mind. It was of the higher order, and he came down to the lower garden. It says he was taken out of the Eden, literally. He was placed into the garden, and that's when I saw that the first time. I was like, whoa, how did I miss this? There's two gardens. He's taken out of Eden, placed into the garden, and that's when it really just opened up for me there. That was the missing piece, because they did such a great job of corrupting our scriptures that we never get the picture. And then it says that then he woke up. So he wakes up down here in this lower garden on the earth, and what's the first thing he sees? He's divided. He up in the sun, in the atom, he was male, female, one. But the woman comes out of his side, and it says that from his rib, but the rib is a corruption. It's Rav, and it means the royal star. They both came out of the royal star, which is the sun, the atom, falsely called Eden, and then she's in the metaphor taken out of his side because he's a royal star. Because there was nobody that ever had the knowledge that he had, considering he named everything that is in our creation on earth. And what's the very next thing he does when he wakes up? He sees Keva there, not Eve, but Keva, correct? Go look in your Strongs. Okay, they're lying to you. Look in your Strongs. You'll see the other half. And what's the first thing he does? He names her. He names her. He says, you are a Shafei, and you are the mother of all living. How can that be when she came last, unless she doesn't represent the virgin light, and he knows something that's going on here in the story, you see? So when they want to say that aliens came down, I'm telling you that somebody came down from the light with a message, and never from any other period of time on our planet has anyone ever come down with more knowledge. And this is part of the great lie. And we talked about this before, and I'm reiterating it. They need to go back and listen to the other programs, because it was Adam who had the knowledge that gave to the Aryan race, the fallen watchers, the ability to create all the great pyramid civilizations around the world and everything else that we're dealing with today, from cell phones to skyscrapers to every technology you can think of, came out of him.
Yes, I agree.
Infinite knowledge,
yep.
Including the alphabet, including the ability to count from the binary system,
yep.
as well as all forms of mathematics.
Yep.
Math means truth. Math means truth. That's why Methuselah has the word math in his name, because it meant at the end of time, Methuselah, the healing root, Shalat, the Shalat is the healing root. At the end of time, the truth would come. You're getting here first, ladies and gentlemen. Glad you're doing that.
Wow.
Start telling your friends.
Wow. Wow.
So it's possible then that there was another coming of somebody coming down, and not aliens who live on another planet? Because if there were anybody that lived on another planet, they would be just like us. They would look like us, because we're made in the image of the great Elohim, of Yahweh. We're made in the image of what they call God. So if anybody lives out there somewhere else, they would look like us.
Yeah, it'd be a similar planet with similar people on it. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I'm
so
yeah.
You see how they can take a word, and because nobody knows these meanings, they stole the Indo-Germanic from us. How in the world could anybody ever figure this out? You couldn't. It's virtually impossible, unless you tune in to Forbidden History. Seriously, right?
Seriously, yes.
Where you can get,
yes.
Where?
Sorry? I'm just wowing. Yeah, no,
right,
nobody else.
Yeah.
Nobody else is saying this. Nobody out there is saying this. Yeah, you will only hear it here and on Desert and Yo Shelley's other channel, Forbidden History Live, and Desert's original channel, Forbidden History Series. Nobody else is talking about it, and it's the truth. It's the pure truth. Yeah.
What they didn't want you to know.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
We tell right here.
Exactly.
I'm happy to do it. And I'm just so happy. I'm just astounded that the Father has allowed me to see these things, and I don't find it anywhere. Only, maybe a little piece here, a little micro.
Yeah, that's it.
Piece, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see little bits and
they know
pieces.
there's a problem.
Yeah, but there's
they
always.
Know there's a problem.
Yeah.
But it's so vast.
Yeah.
A lie on top of a lie on top of a lie on top of a lie. A switch out. They call this that over there. They call what this was called this over there. And they they make the rivers, Euphrates and Tigris, and and they got us to think it's the this is the Eden, when the river that flowed out of the atom is the river of life, and it came down and parted into the four directions. It's all a metaphor and symbol. Read Philo, ladies and gentlemen, you'll find that out. But nobody wants to read Philo. Nobody talks about Philo either. They don't have the time, nor do they have the interest to pick up the book and to learn and see and read it for themselves.
I'm going to put it in the description.
It took me 25 years after my divorce before I finally read it.
Wow.
You know?
I'm going to put a link in the description of Philo.
It's work.
Yep.
There's the work. You know? And there's nobody talking it. And when we find out the truth, we realize we got a lot of catching up we got to do. And it's a tragedy.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy. I'm not even there yet from my standpoint.
And you're so far ahead of us. Like, I feel like I'm always playing catch up. And I just want to thank you from the start of the program tonight. I got that I could feel it again. So thank you for that.
I have to keep smacking you upside your head, in other words, right? Is that
yes. I could feel the power of the symbols and the Aishavors, and the way you explain things is so beautiful, Desert. You're doing what you were meant to be doing. And it's very much appreciated. So yeah.
It goes down to that terminology I use. You can know that you can know that you can know.
Yeah.
You can know. It has nothing to do with belief. Belief means I think so.
Yeah.
But in the Latin, it actually means to give little credit to something.
Yeah.
So I believe it. Well, I give little credit to it. Oh, okay. I see. Okay, so you don't really care anyway, do you? No, of course not. If I did, I wouldn't believe anything. I would want to know. Go to a break.
We on a break? Okay.
I hope so.
Okay. We'll go to a break. Please don't go away. You're hearing it here first, and you're going to hear more right after this break, as soon as I find it in my in my long list. Won't be a moment. Okay, and welcome back to the Forbidden History Chronicles. You're here with NinjaCat 111 and Dezert-Owl, and we're going to get straight back into the wows. I'd like to welcome Desert back, and please continue. You're going to answer Kip's question.
Yeah, and I had the audio on. I hope I don't get no feedback on that, but I muted it. So, yeah, and Coach Kip is driving. We don't know how long he'll be on.
Yeah.
And I want to say hi to That Way as well. I see That Way is on with us, and hope all things are going well that way. Just to before I get to Kip's question from the last program we did, I wanted to just because what we're talking about, is a religious culture, because the foundation of this culture is a false religion of the deceiving of mankind to create spiritual cultures that basically just control people's thinking, and so where do they perform their magic? Let's put it that way. Where do they perform their magic? Well, they do it right in front of the congregation, right? The ones they're putting the con on, because the word in 1828 Webster's, it's not called a congregation. The gathering of people is called a gregation. So they put the word con in front of it because it is a congregation that they're putting on. And so where do they do it from in this congregation? They do it right from their sacred altar. Well, listen to the word. What does altar sound like? Any
What
thoughts?
came to mind was you alter something. You're altering
You alter.
something.
Yeah. You alter something,
You're
right. In other words,
correcting it, or not correcting it, changing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
like as an alternate, something alternate than what we thought it would be, right?
Yes.
Then you put an F in front of it, and you get the word falter,
Wow.
right? And if you put a W on it, you get the word Walter, and Walter, which is synonymous with the word water, just by dropping the L, which is that sacred vowel that they took a vow to, you then have the word Walter means control. There's, Shelley just got it, mind control. Well, Walter means control, alter then means control. And
They're
so
doing
they put
it
everything
right,
on their
yeah.
big altar.
Right in front of us, right under our noses. That's
So
their
contention
fake
is,
magic. Yeah.
My contention is, as we've been talking about this false narrative of the Anunnaki and aliens and all the nonsense that's associated with it, when we have within the Sumerian text the most powerful presentation, actually from the flood, the story of the flood, to our origin and the nature of these planets that surround the sun. The whole kit and caboodle is in there, and this one guy is saying, when he's putting up the picture of what ultimately is the sun and the moon and the 7 days of the week and all that, he's saying, oh, this is a picture of Nibiru and all this other stuff. That literally what we have is the greatest collection of information on who we are, where we are, when we are, and why we are, that confirms everything, in that regard. And instead, it's been laced over and altered with a false narrative, so that we would never know the truth. That's what's going on with this story. You see, and so nobody in truth in our modern time has ever read the scriptures, because all of the words, the narratives, the time settings, the genders, everything has been altered. Male is female, female's, male, the singular is plural, plural symbol, future is past, past is future. All of the things have been altered. The lies are prevalent throughout there, and I've shared them on here.
Yeah.
That the truth is not a part of any lie. The word Bible itself is Babel, right? Do we want a Bible? Do we want a Babel?
Scripture,
or do we want
script.
the word, the shofar?
Yeah.
The shofar. What does shofar mean? The knowledge of fire, the knowledge that goes round. They blow the ram's horn, the shofar, the knowledge of fire. You see? It's in the powerful words. And they took them from us, and they gave us Babel. And Bibel, the Bibel is the covering over the L. Covering, you see? codes right there shouting at us, shouting.
Yes.
And nobody
Wow.
can get the picture because
Wow.
it's mind control. That's right. And so, so let's answer Kip's question while he's hopefully in range. I don't know. That's in a truck while driving.
He can listen back. So it's all good.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
Yeah.
He can listen back. That's
Please
right.
continue.
So Kip asked a question the other day. What are the two pillars? And we were talking about a lot of stuff cosmically, so I don't remember really the conversation anymore. But he was good enough to give me the reference to the scriptures. So later after the program, when I did the review, I went and looked it up, and I already knew the answer. In the basic sense of what are the two pillars. I know what the two pillars are, as we talked about it here, and then I went into King James, I went to Lamsa, then I went into Fenton, and so it was really revealing for me, because the irony is that the King James has done everything. The King James version has done everything to hide the two pillars. Hey there, Kip, I see you're still listening. Good. So the King James, Farrar Fenton is really the one who revealed the pillars, because it had been hiding from our other scriptures. And then when Farrar Fenton, who read nothing but Hebrew and Greek for 40 years and then did the English version, because he didn't want to be influenced by the corrupt versions, he then, showed that where in, like the King James, over and over and over, when it says that then they made idols. Well, in the Fenton Greek, the most ancient Greek, it didn't say idols, it said columns. They made columns, and these columns were the pillars. You see, there was an altar, and in the middle of the altar, where they passed their children through the fire of Moloch, or they did blood sacrifices. On each side of the altar, they had columns. And the column on the right, column on the left. We see them in Freemasonry today.
Yeah.
They're called Yakim and Boaz. Yakin and Boaz. And so this is the pillars are merely symbols. Again, it's knowing what the symbol means, and the symbols are sun and moon. These are the two pillars that go around and that bring life upon earth. So let's read it now in the King James. I'll read all three, because it's rather interesting that when in our modern versions, they made sure they didn't mention columns or pillars, but instead mentioned idols. And so whenever we think of an idol, we think of some creepy-looking statue with a funny face, right? That's what we normally would think. Some stupid-looking idol with two eyes and a nose and a mouth, but that's not what it meant. It meant columns. And how different is a column from that standpoint, than what we think of when we say idol. So you change the words, you change the meaning, you don't get pictures correctly. And so in King James, in 1 Samuel 2:8, it says, "And he raised up the poor out of the dust, and lifted up the beggar from the dunghill, and set them among the among the princes, and to make them inherit the throne of illumination." The throne of illumination, glory, the code for illumination. And then this was the part right here that Kip was referring to. "For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he had founded, and he had set them." I mean, the words aren't right, but so I'm going to back it up and read it literally. Then I'm going to just make the two little word changes that help it out. "For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them." Okay, that's what why Kip was asking a question, because it creates a picture that the earth, like a flat earth, because obviously people who are following flat earth would love this one, because it sounds like the earth is sitting on two pillars. I want to know what's underneath the pillars. And of course,
sorry.
what's pulling them up,
Please,
right?
Please continue.
But anyway, the way it would be said better is the word "set" should be founded, and it would be like this. So, "For the pillars of the earth are the Lord," that's Yahweh, are Yahweh's, "and he hath founded the world, not upon them, but by them." He founded the world by them. How? Because it's clear that the earth, the life on earth, could not exist without the sun and the moon going round. They are the opposite polarities of yin-yang, of male-female, of the light and darkness, of the, so they're both interacting with forces on the earth that allow for life to happen. In other words, we wouldn't have any waves coming off the ocean and tide if the moon wasn't pulling on the earth, right?
Exactly.
You know it.
Yeah.
And so the same with the sun. The sun shining down, we wouldn't have plants. We wouldn't have nothing without the sun. We know that. But the subtle energy, I was going to say from the moon, you see there's a duality in the energies. Because there's a subtle energy coming off the sun, which we don't see, but then there's a powerful energy which we see clearly as the light. That's power, obviously. But then the same with the moon. There's a subtle energy that we don't see, that we can't describe, but yet it affects our psyche. Like the firemen in San Francisco will tell you, whenever the full moon is out, look out, they're going to have more fires. People start fires because
with emergency departments are full during the full moon.
Drive, as well, the psyche. So then also the menstrual cycle on the cycles of the moon. Even the coral reefs let go of their seeds when the moon is at a certain apex and setting. So everything is connected with sun and moon. No matter how you look at it, those are the two pillars. You see, and so look at the top. Don't look at the pillar from the side. Look at it from above. What's it look like? A circle, right?
It's wow. Wow.
You see, we're looking at it the wrong way. You get the picture?
Yes. And Kip says thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Now so Kip's got to go. I'm going to do more, Kip, so you can come back and play it. We're at the just behind the 2-hour mark. You just go back to about an hour and 50 minutes. Oh no, about 45 because we started late. An hour and 45, and pick it up, okay? And be safe out there on the road. And because I'm going to go into Lamsa and Fenton now, and I'm going to show how different they are. And each one of these translations is so distinctly different that right there should get people scratching their heads to want to dig more into the problems with translation and to compare other texts. There is no perfect, complete text. We have no originals, and every one of them is making its best attempt. Well, I wouldn't say the King James is, because that's occultic, but Fenton and Lamsa, but they took over Lamsa. They said, George, we're not going to publish your book unless you let us make some alterations. There's your altar again. We need to make some alterations, George, before we can publish the Peshitta.
Oh, Desert, can I just ask you a question? You made me think of editing books and things.
Edit means to remove, remember?
Okay. Which is also altering. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that was all. Please continue.
Okay. Well, I had to run into the other room real quick while you're talking. You're not long-winded enough, but that's okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. There's somebody...
I'm sitting down now.
Somebody else has just joined us. Wascally Wabbit.
Wascally Wabbit.
Yeah, so I just want to say good day.
Funny then, but...
Yeah.
Oh, but good to have you, Wascally. Okay, and...
I'll give out your information if you want.
That's true. Well, here we say that Yeshua is the Eshavor, Wascally, okay? And but welcome to the broadcast. I'm sure you'll enjoy hearing some of this stuff. So let me now open up Lamsa, okay? And then we'll get a comparison. So in Lamsa it says, now I think I should compare them both back to back. So let me open up the King James again, okay? So the King James. Well, okay, before I do that, I should probably open up Fenton, and that way we've got everything open at the right time.
Okay.
Forgive me for moving away from the mic. Hope I'm still coming through it, right?
Yeah,
all right, here we go. So King James says, for the pillars of the earth, and by the way, we're in 1 Samuel 2:8. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them. So you can see how incorrect it is when it's saying he set the world upon them. He founded the world by them, is the better way to say it. and which it should have said, but because they put everything on top of pillars, they didn't want us to get the actual picture. They don't want us to know, the meaning, the real meaning of these things, because that's what occultists do, right? The occult means to hide the light. So they want to control the narrative and keep us in the dark, basically. So in Lamsa, George Lamsa's Peshitta, 1 Samuel 2:8, and the second half of the verse, it says, "For the depths of the earth are protected by Yahweh, the Lord, but Yahweh, and He has set the world upon them." So we can see here that the depths of the earth are protected, but and so literally Lamsa doesn't get high marks either. He doesn't get, because the earth is in the cosmic ocean. It's bobbing up and down in a cosmic sea, and so but when it's talking about the depths of the earth are protected by Yahweh, it also implies, of course, that it's everything on earth is maintained. In other words, protected. Another word would be maintained. Everything is being maintained by Yahweh. But how? By sun and moon, obviously. That's how they're being maintained. That's the primal. That's as primal as you get, you see. And it's up above. We see them every day, and but we don't have enough of awareness, about, like, for instance, that everything came out of the light, everything came out of the sun in the beginning, so then in Lamsa, it says, "For the earth's supports are the Yahweh's, and upon them He rests the world." Okay, so it's still, again, it's not a perfect transliteration either, and that's what's so amazing about these Schultres, that they are lacking very much, all three of them, you see. And so you got the narrative here, and then now you just got the original thought translation project. Okay, you can see why this is so important.
Yeah.
Because I have given you two of the most important translations, being Peshitta with Lamsa, and then the Fenton from the Greek, the best translation in history out of the Greek, done in 1905, hands down. But in spite of that, Fenton also doesn't always get it right, but he got what's most important right, and that was about the. So the irony here. Okay, the irony here is what I didn't finish, and is that when the King James did everything, this is what's interesting, did everything to hide the columns, and instead referred to them as idols. That they set up idols somewhere, and but Fenton correctly transliterated all the words for idols throughout the scriptures as being the columns. And remember, Solomon was forbidden to make columns, and he did. He started by making one on each side of the crossing on the Sea of Aqaba, where they went through the waters when they left Maitre, Egypt. But so when the King James did everything to hide the columns, then when it's talking about sun and moon, then they put in 1 Samuel 2:8 that he called them pillars. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and He set the world upon them. So they create a picture of, like, putting a globe, like the small letter I, right? You see the small letter I. You got the stick, upright stick, like a column, and then you got a dot on top of it, right?
Yeah.
That's the two columns. See?
What
Duality.
about
And even in
Sorry, what about the capital I with the line across the bottom and the line across the top?
Well, that's still creating the image of a column. That's still a column like that, right?
Yeah.
But the point is, you see how it's altered. Like we said, the word alter means to alter something,
Yeah.
because they can't say it correctly or literally, because they don't want us to get the pictures. They want us to be stuck in la-la land, where we're not going to be able to see and read things for ourselves. They want to control the narrative. Okay, they want to control the narrative. So there you go. And it's tragic, but the good news is there is light. Okay, let there be the Zorain, the original word for light, and there is Zorain. Okay, and it's from the Azor, and up there is the Azor, where the light shines. Okay, the light's shining down here in the great mystery, and that's also good too, as well. So, okay, and where do we want to go now? Okay, we're going to do some forbidden history on the American history, okay? And then we'll be back on the some other work of Lanza, as well as the Dictionary of All Scriptures and Myths. And you've got some really great graphics you've been putting up, Ninja. Thank you for all of your efforts.
No worries, Desert. Anytime. Anytime.
Yeah, thank you.
I love doing it. I love doing it. This is amazing. Like, it just amazes me how you get 3 books in front of you and you can immediately spot everything that's wrong, and the work of Fenton and Lanza are appreciated very much. But yeah, it just amazes me how you can just look straight at them and just see it all. Thank you for that. Very, very much appreciated, and constantly wowing. Yeah.
Hey, I want to welcome any new listeners we have out there. We always have new people coming in, and it's great to share. That's all we're doing here. What people do with the information is purely their business. We're just delivering the message and hoping that they will. In other words, I've always had the saying. You can either compare apples and oranges, or you can put apples, oranges, plums, peaches, apricots, all on the table. Grapes, everything we can find, and the more we can compare with,
exactly.
Better scope we can get. Because, like I at one point ended up with 60 translations of our scriptures, 60, okay, out of my 2,000 books, and I tried to find every translation I could find, because I knew there was that a different expert might just find out one other meaning of a word that nobody else got, because he was at the right place at the right time, reading a different book, and I need that one piece. I want all the pieces of the puzzle, and I knew there was a problem. I just didn't know the answers. Clearly there's a problem if they have to keep trying to do translations over and over and over. What's wrong with the first one? Isn't the first one good enough? What's wrong?
Yeah. Why do they have to rewrite it all the time? That's not right. That's not a good thing to do. Rewriting the word, the Aisha Vors, rewriting. That's no.
The evidence of the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So we're on the this is a short piece. We're on the Forbidden History of America by the Informer. The Informer has passed away now, and it's somebody that I was following back when I was a political activist, and everybody was trying to figure out the beast system of the government and how they lie to us as well, and so everything's a lie. Let me just grab a pillow. Everything's a lie, and so we gotta sit through everything in order to see and read things for ourselves. So here we go. So this is chapter 4, your joint venture. In 1868, the governor of North Carolina stated in his inaugural that North Carolina was no longer a separate and sovereign state, but a district. And who's that? Columbia, by the way. District of Columbia, the 2 columns, right? Columbia column. And of course, they had the shooting at Columbine. And how come we've got a Columbia, Canada? We've got a Columbia in a District of Columbia. Then we got Columbia, South America. We got Columbia Pictures. We got Columbia Records. Who is this good-looking woman holding the torch? The torch is the Deutsch. The Deutsch is the Deutsch, the Dutch, and which is also aka German, and the Deutsch is going back then to the Indo-Germanic, the Aryan, is the torch. They're holding the torch. They're the ones who are giving us their light or not, you see. And the Philpot for the Nazi is, of course, the symbol of light particles coming down. See, all of these symbols are part of that, unfolding. If we can't follow the symbol, then they're right in our face, shining their torch, and we still don't see their light, right? Because it's the darkness that they're shining in the metaphor. So they and a sovereign state, but a district. Okay, so they changed it to a district of the United States, to wit, progress of these events, we are astounded by a proposition originated by North Carolinians about and brought before Congress under the auspices calculated to alarm us that North Carolina, one of the original 13, is no longer a state, but a territory of the United States. This convention, thus elected, is to frame a new constitution for the district formerly known as the state of North Carolina. The constitution, when formed, is to be approved not by the people who are to live under it, but by the Congress to approve, modify, or reject the same. And with a test of oath framed with apparent intent to reverse the principle that the majority of the people ought to rule, unquote. In 1933, that was a very good year. All corporations were owned by the state of North Carolina under the Emergency War Powers Act, thereby making them state corporations. No longer were they private sole proprietors, mom and pop, corps, or mom and pop corporations. Under joint venture, in quotes, principle, all people who are, quote, citizens of the state, unquote, are United States citizens and are in contract with the state in its corporate capacity. Therefore, if and when they buy property privately from the United States, it does revert back to the state. They are only holding the property of the state in a fiduciary capacity, paying rent in the form of an ad valorem tax. This is where the government has conned us again. Of course, you know, you can own your house outright, you still got to pay that property tax.
Yeah.
And if you don't, what happened? They take it back, right? They take it back.
Yep.
This is where the government has conned us again. It is a vicious cycle. Therefore, the U.S. can tax the fiduciary holding state property because they are citizens or joint venturers with the state in its corporate capacity. This is because the states are nothing more than districts of the U.S., and due to the War Powers Act, they are also agents of the federal government. This was discovered by Dr. Eugene Schroeder. Yeah, I've met Dr. Schroeder and used to talk to him. He was the one who pulled out the discovery. He published a book on the War Emergency Powers Act. He was part of the agricultural movement back in the 1970s, 1980s, and they rode their tractors to Washington. Okay, so this was discovered by Dr. Eugene Schroeder in the Health and Human Services Act of the United States. Actually, just the day before the federal government declared the emergency, they got every one of the governors of each of the 50 states. Well, I don't think there was 50 at the time. Maybe there was 48. But he got every one of the governors to declare an emergency the day before. Of course, they all had to be Freemasons. That's the only way they could have done it. And then they declared a federal emergency the next day. And this allows the U.S. To seek out and to tax its subjects, people claiming citizenship, in quotes, of the state, where they are also citizens by Congress. Definition of individual, see 5 United States Code 552A and A2. So even individual, we use this word periodically, Ninja, but individual has something to do more with a taxable entity. And so even in the legal parlance, we're really not individuals. Just like we're not persons. Person is a fiction or a corporate trust. And, all of these word trickeries they've given us, just like child means killed and chilled. You don't want to be a child. Every word is a sick dog, It's amazing. Definition of joint venture found in North Carolina Supreme Court case 207 NC 831 178 FC 587, quote, in order to constitute a joint venture, a joint enterprise, or common purpose, there must be an agreement, your claim of citizenship and or registering to vote for the CEO. That's El Presidente, to enter into an undertaking in respect of which the parties have a community of interest and a common purpose for its performance. Don't all citizens have a common interest in no legal distinction between the phrase joint enterprise and prosecution of a common purpose. The effect of the formation of a joint enterprise is to make all members responsible for the negligence of any member available who injures a third person, and to make the negligence of any member available as a defense by a third person to a recovery by another member. Does this not sound like Social Security? With the history shown so far, all that changed in the power structure in America was that the king lost, or so they would have you believe, and a new that the king lost, and then a new set of power-hungry men took his place. Santa Anna case. Oh, I missed the line here. In my preference, what that's why I said columns are better. I think you asked me that question, did you? Right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Full page, Jerry.
Yeah.
And okay, so and in my preface, and now a new set of power-hungry men took his place. In my preface, what did Jerry Spence say? That's one of famous attorneys. What did he say about the Santa Ana case? Not true. He made an honest mistake as an attorney. For who he was never taught this in law school. For who he was never taught this in law school. Okay. The founding fathers and their law merchant cohorts were given the short end of the stick, and they weren't going to take it from the king any longer. But they had to, or lose everything. Governors are the vice admirals of the crown. To prove the last two sentiments, I will continue in chapter 5, and that'll be tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight on Forbidden History Live. If you want to join us, we'll be picking that up there. We do a chapter on each program between NinjaCat 111 and Forbidden History Live. So check out our other channel over there. And a channel sounds like a river waterway, huh? A channel.
Wow.
Get the picture. I never saw that one before, but yes, they got us going down the channel. Synonymous with the word canal. Canal is also that type of word. And they got us under Admiralty Maritime jurisdiction. It's a merry time if you're I guess if you're getting the payment, right?
Yeah. Can I just add to that? A canal. I don't know if this is true, but I see canals as man-made in general, and canal being a channel as well, and a channel is man-made with man-made technology. I just had to add that. Yeah. Okay. I'm just seeing parallels with everything. Did you want to just have a quick look at the chat? There's a question. That way has a question.
Well, point it out. Where at?
Hang on. I'm just scrolling. Desert is an atonement of a sound mind. Is an atonement of a sound mind.
Well, they got a question mark there, so I don't understand the question. So I think it may be a statement, but anyway, okay. Was there another one?
No,
okay,
I don't think so.
Further up that way says desert is the measurement of light intensity is photon. Would that be what we call God? Everything is in the one, so everything is part of the one, and therefore, so in simple terms, everything is part of the one. The one is the one who made all things, and Yeshua is one. Mother and Father are one. There's no need to separate it from that standpoint. Okay, that's why we are made in the image of the Father, right? So we are. The only distinction is with man being of a higher consciousness. Until man gets his act right, he's not actually a part of the one. He's in the creation of the one, and but that which has a beginning has an end. So our physical creation goes back to dirt, but our spirit has to be completed in this process, and a transformation has to occur, and we have to become the second born. And this is part of the story from beginning to end about the second born. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to go into
Um,
Go too fast.
I think I did. I just thought of something else while you were saying the word healing, but I'll let you talk about it first, and then I'll jump in. Or do you want to hear it now?
Well, I'm going to just, Dictionary of All Scriptures and Myths, and we do a periodic read out of there because there's so much good interpretation of our scriptural meaning. And so here we have healing of the withered hand of a mason. And it is pointed out in the lost writings that the one who had the withered hand when Yeshua said stretch it out, we never know that he's a mason until we read, I think it is the Gospel of the Perfect Life that came out of Tibet. And then we find out actually he was a mason. Makes sense that his hand was probably crushed, or he could have had a stroke. We don't know, but he couldn't work his trade anymore. And so he asked Yeshua to heal him, and then he was made whole. And of course, the priesthood just absolutely were furious about that. How dare you make anybody whole, Yeshua? You know? We control the ball around here. This is our territory, buddy. Get out of here. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, lock shot. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here we go. Healing of the withered hand of a mason, a symbol of the energizing of the will by the spirit, the Aisha fire spirit. That's original thought. Then said he to the Aishan, the man, stretch forth your hand. And just for those who are listening in for the first time, we bypass the Greek and the Hebrew and go back to that which is first, because that which is first is superior. And the Indo-Germanic, which is what they hid from us, is the prime element of our original communication. We just go listen to the beginning of this program, and we get into that, okay? So you're going to have to listen a little bit to get up to speed on certain terminologies that we use. I often put a forward slash, and I give you both the modern and the Indo-Germanic, but not all the time. So just do your best, and then you've got some other programming that you just start working backwards, and you can get your fill of the Indo-Germanic that we're talking about here. Then he said unto the Aishan, the man, stretch forth your hand, and he stretched it and forth, and it was restored whole as the other one. And the hand is and that's Matthew 12:13. The hand is the active and constructive instrument under the control of the will. And the Moesha Yach's Christ cure refers to the energizing of the will by the indwelling self. And then we have healing of an epileptic, symbolic of the steadying by the spirit of the mental faculty which wavers between passion and error. There came to him a man, kneeling to him, and saying, Healer and sunrise, have mercy on me. That's Lord, healer and sunrise. That's Yeshua. Have mercy on me, on my son. And he is an epileptic and suffereth grievously, for oftentimes he falls into the fire, and oftentimes into the water. Matthew 17:15. The mind, man, referred to is one attracted towards the indwelling Moeshiach, Christ, whom he supplicates to control the product of the mind, which is a mental state oscillating between the passion, fire, and falsity, water. So it's interesting, that sometimes in these metaphors, water can represent truth, or water can also represent falsehood, and this is the enigma, and why we have to look at everything in its whole, and it's what we call context, which I call pretext, to really sense it. There's sometimes no easy answer until we look at the entire body of an expression, So water signifies, but here again, you see, he says it now, water signifies truth. But incomplete truth is dangerous. And error, or we could say lies mixed with truth. Like I say, that first John 2:27, but the truth is not a part of any lie. And so how can we be dealing with lies and truth at the same time? We can't. We have to identify all the lies, and then we're left with nothing but the truth. Fire signifies love. But on the astral plane, it becomes passion. And so the Moeshiach Christ is brought to effect the cure of a vacillating and insecure mind or biased opinion. This use of things natural to represent things use of the worst and basest, or rather, I should say, the indiscriminate use of all, sickness and vileness, wounds, bruises, and putrefying sores, leprosy, palsy, and death are all used to shadow forth the blind conditions, the dark conditions of our natural estate. Medicines, bombs, and amputations, Christ's Moeshiach's medical care for us, and health or salvation, which is restoring to health, represents the efficacy of the physician's care. That comes from Works by Ed Irving. The healing of a man sick of the palsy, a symbol of the restoration of the spirit, the ace of fire, of a mental faculty which had been obstructed in its evolution. Yeshua's seeing their victory of light, faith, breathe. Unto the sick of the palsy, son, be of good cheer. Your blindness has been forgiven. Your sins are forgiven. Matthew 9:2. This relates to a spiritual fact. It is the liberation of a disused power, which is affected by the soul of the faith or victory of light of receptiveness, which brings forth the light when the Moeshiach, Christ, commands the individual. The sins or the blindnesses are forgiven. In fact, the spiritual adjustment and the evolution of the divine light. Paralysis is any disease of paralysis. Paralysis is any disease of the soul, whatever, but especially of fleshly lust and the carelessness and indifference to spiritual things, which it generates. For it so entirely prostrates the soul that it is without power to lift itself up to virtue, up towards the throne of the Son, up to Yahweh, mispronounced as Yahweh. Wherefore the Ashon that labors under this disease must be carried by bearers, that is, by pastors, preachers, confessors, up to the housetop, that is, to the desire of solnovation and things of the cosmic order of light, and then must be let down through the roof. That's actually was through the skylight. That's where they removed the beams of the skylight. It wasn't actually tearing up the roof, but the beams and the skylight, beams representing also the rays of light, to the feet of the Moeshiach, down through them, to the feet of Moeshiach. And they must ask him by earnest creation of light to heal them by his favor for all and restore to him the power of motion and the sense of a spiritual things. They went up to the housetop and let him down through the tiles with his couch into the center before Yeshua, Luke 5:19. This signifies that the mental faculties, men in parentheses, that means criminal and sinner in Old English, were exercised and the mind acquired knowledge, which prepared the mind for the spiritual adjustment which followed. And now healing by casting out devils, but now we have to define the word devil. Devil originally is the word adversary, so who's the adversary? I think the adversary has always been man, okay, that fleshly serpent that we have to crush under our heel. So healing by casting out the serpent, that fiery serpent. So that means you could either be self or somebody else. And he was casting out the adversary, which was dumb. And it came to pass, it soon occurred, that when the adversary had gone out, the dumb Ashon spake. And so here it was an unnatural condition, and that unnatural condition was a health problem. And this signifies a restoration to spiritual vision, perception of truth, and ability to express the same in thought and action. The Pharaoh's shame said, adversary. Matthew 12:24. The literalist state of mind is illogical. There you go. There, I should underline that.
Go ahead.
The literalist state of mind want to read everything literally and cannot see into the metaphor or the symbol, and that's the real problem. You know, that is the crux of the problem, because they've never learned the meaning of a symbol. They can't interpret metaphor. They have not studied the custom of ancient past, not studied Eastern tradition, and but yet at the same time want to be expert on by just simply picking up the book and start reading it. Well, there it is. That's what it says, but it says a little bit more, and that's the reason I ended up with 60 different versions of our scriptures, and then ended up being a translator, and also finding the code of the occultists that they produced for us outside of the College of Abbreviators, outside the Vatican, and also, of course, the Indo-Germanic itself, which they hid from us, want us stuck going around in circles in the Greek or the Hebrew, which is controlled by the priesthood. So they really did it to us. So the literalist state of mind is illogical and cannot process, as the spiritual seed planting shows it to be. Literalists are nothing if not thoroughgoing, and so they accuse the Moeshiach soul, the Christ soul, of using means and the very reverse of that which is really employed. In other words, darkness versus light. If I, by Beelzebul, by the beetle and the bull, cast out the adversary, which is illness, sickness, blindness, ill health, the inability to walk, spots all over our bodies from not living right, by whom do your sons cast them out? Matthew 12:27. This is the retort of one who could see further than the literalist and formalist. The sons of the Pharaoh's shame cast forth illusions, as they imagine and suppose, by condemning with the darkness, which of course shows that they follow, they believe, here it says, but follow in the blindness as real. That is to say, in the devil, or as real. And therefore, indirectly, because they created these false images, by the way, should add, because their doctrine came out of Babylon, and that's where these devils and demons and all these, misconceptions or something else that is real have occurred.
Yeah.
Disassociation, adversary has always been man, and they're the ones who created the false images as real, and therefore, indirectly, they are instrumental in encouraging error and delusion. The Moeshiach, Christ, cast blindness forth, casts it out by doing right through and in and through action. That was the Moeshiach, who went from haunt to haunt of the dark natures in the dark places and bade them to fly away, because they are illusions. Even ill health is part of the illusion, because physical matter is the illusion when we compare it with what is real, and that is the invisible realm, the spirit, the higher realm, the light that we need to go back to. And they, the adversaries of hatred, cruelty, lust, selfishness, brutishness, superstition, they all fled at his presence. Philip Brooks. And of course, in James it says, that when, we are tempted, not by this quote-unquote devil with a pitchfork, but it says that we are tempted when we are drawn away by what? Our own lust and enticed. So it's the serpent, flesh, drawn away by the serpent flesh and enticed. And we have to crush the serpent under our heel, because it's been biting at our heels all of our life, and is the problem. Healing by raising the dead. One more. Okay. Symbolic of spiritual awakening in the soul. The energizing of a dormant or latent affection or mental faculty. And when the or no, this Lord would be actually healer in sunrise. This is again the trickery they play. We got a Lord in the Old Covenant, which originally is Yahweh, and then we have a Lord in the New Testament, the Everlasting Covenant, which is Yeshua. And so these words, they use them over here, they use them over there, instead of giving us the original meaning, because they don't want us getting pictures. And it is healer and sunrise. Of course, he was a healer. I think he was a healer, Ninja, don't you?
I think so, does it?
Okay, and he brought us a sunrise, right, of enlightenment. And so when they went up to him running for healing, they didn't say Lord. That's Middle English, and Lord, Middle English means our mother who gave us our bread, literally. Then we go back and trace it back to Adonai. Adonai means sunrise, the dawn eye, because A is silent. It's dawn eye. The dawn is the sun coming up, and the eye is the sun. But nobody gets these pictures, and nobody is seeing or reading it for themselves. Like I said, they've never read the scriptures because they can't interpret the Eshavors that have been altered on the sacred altar of deception. And when the healer in sunrise saw the widow, he had compassion on her and said unto her, do not cry. And he came near, and he touched the bier, and the bearer stood still. And he said, young Ashan, I breathe unto you, rise up in the flowing light. And he that was dead sat up and began to speak. And he gave him to his mother. Luke 7:13-5. How can it be 13-5? Must be 13-15. The widow signifies that part of the nature which has lost a product and mental object of its affections. It grieves at the loss and imagines the quality to be dead. I know exactly how that feels. The Mo'ashiach, however, reanimates the condition of interest. Something you alluded to today, I think. And revives the relationship, which thereby restores harmonious conditions. You have to keep eating the cosmic food. The Metzor. And I just got to jump in this because, this whole thing about when he said, you must eat my flesh. But the bread is the Metzor, And so what he was saying was, you must eat my Metzor. The Metzor is everything, because the Metzor is the bread, but the Metzor is also the galaxy. It is all the stars going around. The Metzorah is the Metzor. And so when he said, you must eat my flesh, he was saying you must consume everything that is around you. Right? Just like when they thought he said he was going to destroy the temple in 3 days, right? And thought he was talking about the temple.
Yeah.
He was talking about his body. The same thing when we think he's talking about his body. He said you have to eat my flesh. He was saying you must eat the Metzor. And the Metzor means you must consume, which means to meditate and become aware of everything that is around you in this grand illusion and deception. Yeshua breathed, give place. For the damsel is not dead, but sleeps. And they laughed him to scorn, but when the crowd was put out, he entered in. The crowd being put out is sort of like all the lies and deception we've learned all of our lives, right?
Yes.
And he entered in and took her by the hand, and the damsel rose up in the light. Matthew 9:24 and 25. This story may have referred to the resuscitation of an affection in a quality which was developed as a ruler of qualities. This spiritual life-giving was effected through the interposition of the Mo'ashiach, Christ, in the manner symbolically described. It must be remembered that many of these minor incidents in the star message of enlightenment, that's gospel correctly. Gospel means go spell if you think you can. And it was originally evangelion, and it means star message of light, enlightenment. Okay, so incidents of the gospel's drama, through mostly spiritual and in their meaning, cannot be interpreted bit by bit as Swedenborg imagined. Here, actually, okay, that's good. Swedenborg is being taken to task here. That's good. Some people actually think he's the Messiah. They must be sensed, as it were, and they may all be cleansed, as showing a general tendency of the shul, the soul, towards the Moeshiach, a general tendency. Sure, we want that light of the Moeshiach state, or an ascension of power through the Esha fire, the spirit, the breathing of Yeshua that, quote, the damsel is not dead but is just sleeping. Wake up signifies that an affection cannot die. It can only slumber until applied to its true purpose and intent through the Moeshiach, through the Esha Bor, the royal center, the eye of the royal center. That's what we're talking about, the word that gives life, the true bread, the Mezor. We're breaking bread right now in the metaphor, but we have to see and read it for ourselves. Nobody can make you see anything. The putting forth of the crowd is the subdual of discordant elements so that the Moeshiach Christ may enter in and bring renewed life and vivification to the shul, the soul. And let's go to a break, Ninja, and we'll come back for our final segment right here on the Forbidden History Chronicles on NinjaCat 111. So somebody's got to do it, and I'm just the glutton for punishment. We're bringing it your way, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dezert-Owl, a bird who sees in the night, and I see too much. What you're going to get here on this broadcast, you're not going to hear anywhere else. Bottom line, okay, it's not a brag; it's just a fact. I can't explain how it is that, it says in Revelations that the beast system deceived the entire world. Deceived the entire world. Well, what kind of a deception is that? I think it means everybody. Everybody. That's why there is no perfect translation out there. But people prefer the 1611 occultist King James version, and nobody talks about Farrar Fenton. Nobody talks about Lanza. These would be the best in our modern time, and still they're not right, because all of our tradition, all of our truth, all of our history has been manipulated, and even when people know there's a problem, they can't find the core of the onion. And it's because the layers of the onion are so great, and they got us crying all the way through the onion. But if we can get to the center, it is sweet. And I know that I wasn't worthy of this conscious awareness that the Father has given me of the original thought, the Indo-Germanic. But the only thing that's important is what it's breathing. That's all that matters. Well, like I said, I'm not worthy of it, so desert's irrelevant. I'm not important. Listen to what it's breathing. That's what's important. We all are in the same dilemma in this world. Okay? We all have the same problem. We need to escape the darkness of the delusion of the great lie that continuously keeps us down. And so we're breathing here. We're breathing something that nobody else is breathing. I don't care if they want to imitate me, that would be great, because then it means the word is getting out.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. The Esha Bors need to get out. Okay, there's no claim. I am not the originator. I have only discovered what was original from the beginning, and the grand deception and delusion was studying Hebrew and studying Greek, which was controlled by man and the priesthood. But what happened to the common thread that was breathed into Hadam, which is the Indo-Germanic mother tongue? How come nobody talks about that, when that which is first is superior? When that which is first is original, the original thought. That's what the Nazaré were all about, was preserving that original thought. And that's what we're talking about right here. So glad you tuned in. Hope you are telling your friends about the broadcast. We need to have a revolution in thinking, and it is a work within this walk, okay? So, but we do take comments or questions. If you have any, you can call us on the phone. Ninja will give out that information, and we'll be right back. Thank you, Ninja.
Thank you, Desert. Do you want a short break or a long break?
help. Okay, and then I've
Okay.
got Lamsa, New Testament, Old Testament light, short works, and then we'll go on to the Babylonian Talmud. Have some baloney real quick too. Okay, and we'll finish off with that.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. Okay, before we go to the break, you can contact Desert during the program or outside of the program on 608 566 7295. That's 608 566 7295. If you're international, just put a +1 at the start. You can also Skype him at Free America Radio. That's all one word, Free America Radio. If you would like a copy of the PDFs, Desert has the real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary, which he wrote himself. All the information you need to understand and get the picture and see and read it for yourself is in that dictionary. Yeah, it's amazing. 3 amazing PDFs. The dictionary. You can also get a copy of the Book of Wisdom, which is a wonderful book, and also a sample of the original Gospel with a more up-to-date version of the dictionary at the back of it. Contact details to get the PDFs in the description on every one of these live streams and on the other 2 channels. The Forbidden History series, Desert's original channel. If you haven't seen his channel yet, please go back to June 21st last year, 2018. It's amazing. Amazing. Desert does some beautiful reads, translates as he goes along, walks us through, helps us to understand, comprehend, and Yalav also does some beautiful reads from the original Gospel in original thought. So please go back and check it out. And Desert is currently broadcasting from Forbidden History Live as well, and all links excuse me, all links are in the description. If you want to call in live on this program, we're very high tech here. Please send Desert a text first. Or yeah, you can Skype Free America Radio, but if you're using the phone, please send him a text so he can call you back, because I can't access group calls on my phone. So that's how we do it. Anyway, we'll go to a quick break. See you guys on the other side. Please hang around, because it only gets better. This is amazing tonight. Absolutely amazing. Alright, we'll be back soon. Okay, and welcome back to the Forbidden History Chronicles. You're here with NinjaCat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series YouTube channel, and currently Forbidden History Live. I just want to say, see you later to... Sorry, it's getting late. See you later to Wascally Rabbit. Be safe and peace and light to you. And okay, you'll be back when you're able. Yeah, cool. It's good to have you here. Okay. I love all of you, by the way. I just had to say that because I haven't said it out loud yet, I don't think. Welcome back, Desert. How's it going?
Hi, Ninja. Very good. And you're doing a great job of production. I couldn't do it without you. And I'm so glad that they sabotaged my other channel just so I could get free from production and can get on with what I do most importantly, which is to breathe these ancient lores that are part of our ancient past, and then you and also Shelley have been just doing a fantastic job with the graphics and everything. So it's been real exciting for me. So this is somewhere I've never imagined I'd be with such profound work. I know it's all temporary, nothing permanent on this planet, and certainly the directions we go in with our discussions ultimately will be condemned and clipped, because we go into areas that are based on our concerns, and our concerns cover a lot of ground, and then but people, they want us to to put on gray uniforms and to march in a straight line to some old lang syne song or something like that. And of course we're free thinkers, so free thinking is not allowed on this venue, of course. And so it's just a matter of time, and they'll clip us just like they've clipped so much. YouTube is no longer an exciting place. I'll just put it that way. It's no longer exciting. It was exciting when there was really free speech on YouTube. That's when it was exciting, because people could say, I want to know what the worst people think. I want to know what they think. That way I can know how to negotiate my life and avoid them as best as possible. But because now we can't know how certain people think, especially for the innocent, because I know the score. But the innocent people who don't know the score can certainly fall victim to these other occultic and subversive elements that are in our society, and that includes government, certainly.
Yeah. And that includes what's going on this platform. Yeah. Yeah.
Mention other religions that want to cut off our head and wage war against mankind. We're in an occultic world, and therefore they hide the light. That's their job. And so as long as we can, we'll we'll breathe the light of truth, and then we'll go somewhere else. That's all we can do,
Yeah.
So, but in the meantime, we're in the book of Old Testament Light by George Lanza, who came to America in the 1930s and gave us the Peshitta Bible, but they wouldn't publish it the way he translated it. So therefore, he let them redraft it. And funny how it looks almost like a King James, but the good news is there's many scriptures in there that still have the eastern side, and therefore it's still from the Aramaic, the most important translation from the Eastern, where Fenton is the most important from the Greek on the Western side. So we've got to read things we've not read before, but what Lanza did to make up for the intrusion was he wrote about 20 books to support the Eastern philosophy, and so that's what's so great. And these two books, I don't know where they've been all my life. I just got them over the last several months, and these were among his other books, and I had about 5 or 6 of his books, but he's got about 12, and so I didn't have them all. So here he's defining the different terms in a logical order throughout, starting in the book of Genesis, going through the Old Covenant. And And so this will take over a year to go through here. Oh, Jesus. I got a couple years worth of definitions in here, literally.
Wow.
So this is great. And I'm just working my way forward. So we're on the term Lord. And we just talked about a little bit ago that it's being used for more than one thing.
Yep. I was going to comment on that. Yeah, sorry. I'm glad you cleared that up before. I just wanted to say that before I forgot again. Yeah, please continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Lord, these are code words, cover words, and we've got to see and read them for ourselves, and then say, okay, I'm not going to use that word anymore. Let's go to the original, baby. And but of course, that's why we're working on a transliteration, of course, of our scriptures, because we do need to have the original, and there is no original. But we had the word. We can get back to the original words, and then that begins to rebuild it. So it won't be in the ancient from that standpoint. It'll be in our modern, but it will be based on this original thought. And so therefore it'll be like reading it for the first time. It will be like going back in time, essentially, and you will get pictures with this terminology. That's what's so beautiful about it.
Yeah.
So the term Lord, and every plant, this is Genesis 2:5, Galnesha 2:5, and by the way, the Galnesha means the garden of the royal eye. That's where we're in. We're in a garden of a royal eye. We are the royal eye, supposed to be, and then the sun is a royal eye. The moon is a dark eye. It's a black eye. Has no light. So there's why in the movies you always see this one guy with his eye put out, because they're telling us part of the story in their messages subliminally. So 2:5, and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, and for the Lord God, that would be Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was no Ashan to till the ground. Okay. So here is his commentary on this. Yahweh is Lord, and is the title or name of the primary title of Yahweh, of the great Elohim, here in the generic God. In the ancient time, the great Elohim was known as El. That comes out of the Babylonian baloney, and because it's correctly Ul, two O's, O-O-L, but they had to corrupt that because the two O's create too much of a picture for sun and moon. There it's about vision, the Ul team in the night.
Yeah.
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 And then so El is the corruption, but it implies illumination, of course. So in the first chapter of Ganesha, Genesis, his name or title in the Avrei Hebrew is Starei, Avrei, Starei, is Elohim. Elohim, which is a corruption for Ulavhaim, or in the Aramaic they're also using Allah. Yahweh is derived from Ha'eyah, or Hayah, probably Hayah, the two L's are missing. Hayah here, to be, meaning to be. Well, there it is. If sun and moon are going around, the next thing that's happening is creation. We talked about that earlier, and it means to be. How about that? Hayah. Even that sounds like a Native American song. Hayah.
It does, doesn't it?
But they spoke Aramaic too, Native American. That's another part of the deception they don't want us to know about. That's why they got rid of those Cherokees. They said, no, you're leaving Georgia. We're taking your homes and your property. Go on the long trail of tears, and we hope you'll die before you get to Oklahoma. Now, because the Cherokees were nothing other than, ancient Israel and other, Aryan cultures that were all blended together, and they couldn't let that cat out of the bag. So, yeah.
Wow.
So, they call them red men. We'll go look at Cherokees. They look just as white as me, just as white as me, because they are. And it's all part of the grand deception. What a stinking, rotten world we have of injuring innocent people,
Yeah.
That's the name of their game.
Yeah, they love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's their world. Okay, so Hayah, to be, and thus suggests the eternal great Elohim, or Yahweh Elohim, as the essence of all life and existence. Yahweh. The term Yahweh is so pure that the Avreis, the Hebrews, the star rays, never dared to pronounce it. They use the term Adonai. Well, you see, that's after Babylon. That's after Israel's already gone. Okay? Because the Babylonian Talmud came back into Judah, into Shalom, to Jerusalem. And so Adonai here, as Lance was pointing out, then was changed to Lord in the English. In the Anglo-Saxons, the angels are the English. They also put the word angel in there. They put their own culture in there because it would have been Malach, royal messengers, but instead it's the false messengers of darkness, of the occultic. Okay, the Hebrews, the Avres, the Starre patriarchs used the term El, Yaakov, which means seed of light, Jacob, called Luz, light, a town in Palestine. It's interesting, Palestine sounds like Palestine. Phallus, I think it is for the columns. Word of columns, there it is. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Because it's right in our face, but we don't ever get the picture. Bethel in Palestine. Bethel, Vatul, correctly, because there's no B, it's a V. Vatul, L is Ul, Vatul, and it means the house. So the serpent house, a vision. The serpent house, you're a serpent, I'm a serpent. Sorry to tell you, give you bad news, but just deal with it, because if you can deal with it, you can be set free. What happened when Moses put the serpent on the cross and he went around the camp? He said anybody who could see it could live. And if you can't see it, you're not going to live, okay? Because you are the problem and you are the serpent. And you need to crush it under your feet and identify with your true nature, which is invisible in the Esha spirit, the spirit. The body is not going, sorry to tell you. It is Isaiah called the Moshiach Ma'anuel. So he spells it here with an A, not an I. Remember I told you about that corruption? Lamsa got it right. And Great Elohim is with us. Elohim is a later title. And here, even with Lamsa, he's using God and El interchangeably. And I don't know which one it is, because God, he's using God for Yahweh and then God for Elohim or Elohim.
Yeah.
Lamsa's challenged by, all the confusion, because he spoke like 10 languages, I think, but when he comes over here, they want to take over the narrative. So Lamsa gets high marks, but still, he got stuck halfway through the onion in certain respects. Not to discredit him, because he's a genius in his own right, but this is the problem, and he's never talked about the conspiracy that removed the original alphabet, because he's using the El Strangulo when of course the original Aramaic was what we call the Sanskrit, the true Sanskrit being the what's called Phoenician alphabet, and Phoenicians were right there in Palestine. So put two and two together. That's what you see on the writings on the walls, on stone, on tablets, on jars. It's all around. You don't see the Estrangulo anywhere until 300 AD. Put that feather in your cap, okay? I never even thought of it that way before. But of course, you don't see El Strangulo, which is the demotic, on any wall anywhere. No. You see what we call Phoenician alphabet, because that is the original Aramaic. Boy, now go show me. Go ahead. Go out there and find it, and let me know if you can, because you won't.
Desert.
308. Roman Empire. Priesthood. Continuing. Elohim is a later title. That's right, it came out of Babylon. And there's a plural form, right? Because it means sun, earth, and moon, stars, all the stars. The illuminated. What is illuminated but the stars and the planets? They're all shining, right? Illuminated, Elohim, is from the Hebrews during the time of the conquest of the Philistines, followed in the existence of other. Now you see, he's got that wrong again too. Other gods, he wants to say, but it's all Elohim. Just means the enlightened. The word God is the problem, because it became a false narrative or a false idea. From that standpoint, we need original words to get original pictures. But they maintained that Yahweh was the quote unquote God of the gods. Joshua 22:22. God standeth in the congregation of the mighty, but it would have been Yahweh stands in the congregation of the Ul Shaddai. The Ul Shaddai. He judgeth among the Elohim. Aramaic, he judges among the royal messengers, not angels. He's used an angel here too. Part of that grand deception again. Again and again, the Avres, the Starres, the Hebrews lost their pure ideas. There you go. Of monotheism, and paid homage unto pagan deities and columns. But the Avres, the star navigators here. It says prophets. That's a false narrative as well. These star navigators, the navigators constantly fought against their idolatry. They even changed those words out. How do we get through this thick wick, Ninja? You're kind of like just smoking right now, right? I can tell you. You're got steam coming off of you, huh?
Yes, Desert. Yes. Like there's just.
Are you able, now that you've been almost a year listening to this, were you able to follow me on all that pretty well?
I'm following everything, and I'm seeing so much more each and every time I hear you read things. And yeah, like I was saying before, the feeling is really back during this program. The same feeling I was getting when I first realized that this was truth and this wasn't being talked about anywhere else. Just.
I can't even read Lamsa without doing a commentary now, because even Lamsa was lost on some of this terminology. That's what's so ironic and so tragic, because he was a genius. At the same time, he still brings forth a false narrative, because he's not. I don't know what he knew, so I don't know if he comes at it from, seeing the bigger picture of the grand conspiracy of deceiving mankind by man's government and priesthoods. I don't know what he knew about that. He just deals with the translations and idioms and that's all that's all I know about him. So
you're just seeing through all of it though. Like, it's just I can see what you're seeing as you're reading and showing us. It's just. I'm overwhelmed, Desert. Please continue.
You don't want nobody to change your words, right? You want the originals, right?
Yeah. The original thought is amazing. It's powerful. We need it. We need that. It's the only way home. So.
Only way home. You got it. That's it. Okay. We're not going to get there with false terminology, right?
Exactly.
We're not going to get there with falsehood. The truth is not a part of any lie.
Exactly.
So when we can stop lying and admit the truth, that we have homework to do, we have to learn how to read and see it for ourselves. We have to see and read it for ourselves. And first thing we need to do is learn how to read. We need to learn the original root forms and parent roots and the symbols, which we're going to talk about on each program. Now we're going to work our way through the alphabet. Tonight we'll be on letter A on Forbidden History Live, and then each program will do a letter of the alphabet, so it'll take us, at least 26 programs if there's 26 letters in the alphabet. Of course, they're not all legitimate letters. That's the problem. But then we'll go with maybe into compound letters as well. We can keep going and describe parent roots, and we can talk about parent roots. That would be a good way to follow, to keep it going, and we'll build on that. So that's a good challenge, and I want to do that, because it does me no good if I keep it in my head and I don't get it out for others. Spell it out. I got to spell it out.
I can't wait.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. This is my this is class for me. This is where I learn. Because I don't have much time to myself, so I can't wait for us to go through the alphabet. Desert. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So here in the New Testament light, which of course there is no New Testament, it is the everlasting covenant. Covenant is kavanun. There's Eve right there at noon. There's your virgin light right there. Kavanun. Keva. Nunya.
Wow.
You're up there at high noon too, apparently. So,
apparently.
Going around with us.
Wow.
Ninja.
Down under at high noon. Yep.
Cat. The cat is the claw. There's something to the cat thing for another day, though. Okay.
Okay.
So prophets revered. Prophets revered. There's seen in the New Testament light by Lamsa. He that receiveth, this is from Matthew 10:41. He that receiveth the prophet, which is star navigator, so let's correct it. He that receiveth the star navigator, the navigator, he who receives the star navigator, and that's what we were talking about with Asian, right? Asian, you going out there in Asia, in the Silk Road, you had to be a star navigator to know how to go down that road. He that receives a star navigator and the royal title of a star navigator will receive a star navigator's reward. So you're going to get a star navigator's reward, Ninja. Look out.
Wow.
And he that receives an Aishan, perfect in the flowing light, that's righteous. A righteous man is an Aishan, who is perfect in the flowing light, in the royal title of a Aishan who is perfect in the flowing light will receive an Aishan who is perfect in the flowing light's reward, meaning you're going to put on that perfection, Ninja. You're going to put it on because you're going to get so sick of this world. You're going to get so sick of failing, so sick of being down, that one day you're not going to do it anymore. You're going to say, I've had it with me. And boom, and you're going to be on top of the Mount Zebon in the clouds, and on the Mount Zebon in the clouds. How do you get in the clouds? On the top of the mountain. That's where you want to be.
I want to be there now. Can I go there now? Does it?
Well, you are there now in the metaphor, but you have to stay there. That's the point.
Yeah.
You see, you have to work out within you the struggle of overcoming. See, I'm not going to let this bother me anymore. I'm not going to let that bother me anymore. I'm sick of this, and I'm not going to be sick anymore. It's a work. It's not an easy thing. It is a work. Work. Yeah. We don't like going to work, right? No, but we have to. We have to go to work. And so when the prophecy of a star navigator, the truth speaking is another word for prophecy, speaking truth. So when the speaking truth of the star navigator was fulfilled, the star navigator was praised, honored, and emulated. And then again, a true star navigator lives on through his star navigation, or his speaking truth. This is why Yeshua on one occasion breathed, there are some who are standing here who will never taste of death. Wow. Never taste of death. So what type of death was it talking about, Ninja? Was it a physical death or something other?
I don't know if I can say it at this late hour. Yeah, I didn't want to say spiritual. I wanted to say the other. Okay. Can you say it? So
okay. Right. The Ashafari. The fire. The spiritual death. It's the death of our soul.
Yeah, the Ashafari. Yeah.
Because we know that they all physically die. But what he meant was that once they raise from this death no longer has dominion over them. They die no longer. They just go somewhere else. The body in the grand illusion goes to the grave, but they transcend it, you see? And the transcendence begins here. So when an Aishan sincerely receives another as a star navigator, he will receive the reward or the barokin, the endowment, enlightenment, and separation of a star navigator. That is to say, he will be rewarded for his perfect action because he received the Aishan as a star navigator and as a perfect Aishan, a perfect man. Even though the other may have been blind in certain areas. In other words, he did not act of charity faithfully, not knowing whether the one he helped was worthy or not. He just did it out of the kindness of his heart. And one who receives another as a perfect Aishan in the flowing light will receive the perfect reward of the barokin, the endowment, separation, enlightenment, which only a perfect Aishan in the flowing light can bestow. Those who open their doors to Yeshua's truth seekers would open their doors to Yeshua himself. And that's what you're doing, you see? It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with Yeshua. This work wouldn't be here if it weren't for Yeshua. I was never smart enough and not worthy to receive it. This is something he had to grab somebody and give him a big download, and that's why I was born and lived my first 5 years at 98 right place, 98 was for 1998 when I fell victim to, the government sting operation and woke up to what it meant, where I was first born, because he was, that's why I remember being conscious of my mother's womb, seeing pink light, sucking my thumb. How many people can say that? I remember. And so, he gave me a great download, but it was a rough trail. There was no piece of cake here. I had to suffer in my process of learning at the same time, and it was tested over and over. Would I forgive this? Would I forgive that? Forgive. Would I be willing to stand alone with the truth? Would I be willing to be all by myself? And so these are the things that will test us. So one day, you're going to get sick of being sick. You're going to get sick of being around insane people. You're going to be sick of not being perfect before your Redeemer, and you're going to put on the perfection of light, and nobody's going to be able to touch you on the inside anymore. What they do with your body, you will care less, but you want to be set free within. And those who receive Yeshua would receive Yahweh, who sent him. When a individual helps a poor a poor man, he will be rewarded for his act, whether the one he helped was worthy or not. All those who were to receive Yeshua's truth seekers were to be rewarded for their pure acts, regardless of the character of those whom they helped. They did not know the Eshan. They did not, but what they did was Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, had commanded them to do. It is the action, that counts. Yahweh sent his rain upon the good and on the bad, the perfect and the corrupt, and the just and the unjust. So, yeah, okay. And next one we're going to do will be messenger. So Ninja, you're in trouble, young lady.
Why?
Because you got a reward coming. You're gonna have to deal with it.
Well, that's the kind of trouble I like.
Have a lot of stuff going on, and you're gonna want to get back to the program always, because that's the only place where it's at. You're not a part of this world anymore. Congratulations, you're already being set free. It's happening. Maybe you don't see it at the moment, but it's happening.
Wow, thank you.
One day when you look back and say, "Wow, how did I get here? I remember how I was over there, but now I see where I am here." It's a.
I do that now. I look back to a year ago and think, "Wow, how did I get here?" I'm broadcasting something that 99% of the planet is not talking about. Wow. Yeah, thank you. I'm doing that now. How did I get here? Wow.
Well, I can't get over it. We've been on 3 hours already?
3.5. No, we started late, didn't we? Yeah, about 3 hours.
Yeah, about 3 hours. I can't get over it.
It goes,
one more hour, but actually I'm losing my voice, and I don't know if I want to do the baloney in the Talmud, so I think I'll pass on that. We got a program tonight, Forbidden History Live, and that'll be at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. And, we're going to play it again. Lucy. They say play it again, Sam. That was Samael. That's another word for, anyway.
It doesn't stop, does it?
Yeah. It never stops. It keeps unfolding. And the funniest part is nobody gets it. But we got to get it. And so I'm hoping that the people out there will share this broadcast with others, because this is very unique in nature to have this what's first, that which is first is superior, the original thought. It's just amazing to be here. I'm how the grace of the Father has been so great. The irony was I saw how incomplete I was. I saw how empty the shell I was, what my parents hatched, because they didn't love me. I don't remember anybody ever hugging me, saying they loved me. They didn't talk to me. I was out there, free range chicken, hung out with all my buddies and on the streets of New Jersey, Central Jersey, and learned everything from my friends, which is the worst way to learn anything because they're all stupid. And then you got to learn the truth. So the irony with the download that the Father has given me was I was at the worst end of the spectrum. In other words, I had the only thing is that I had, is an intuition. This is the one thing that I know that carried me. With the intuitive sense, I knew that my teachers were lying. They didn't care about me. I knew that being in school, taking drugs all the time, smoking pot, snorting cocaine, or taking LSD, whatever we were doing at the time. All my friends were stuck in a rut, and I was. And when I made that one trip to California to visit my aunt and uncle, and I hitchhiked to Tijuana from San Jose, California, and back all by myself at age 17. Once I got that in my blood, I went back and I told my mom I'm dropping out of high school, and I never looked back, because I knew that I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't learning anything. Nobody was helping me. Family, as far as communication, like, what are your goals in life? Where are you going? Can I help you? What do you want to be? None of that. So I didn't know. I had to go discover. I had to go learn. And so what it really was in this great mystery, because now I know, the answers to my spiritual dilemma, was that I'd been called from my mother's womb to pursue this great knowledge, and that it would unfold for me. Like, in other words, what was the thing that got me going to California when I was watching a commercial one night on television, and it showed my dad promised to take me, to Disneyland, promised to take me, to other places. He traveled the world, and had a new car every year, and never even bought me the bicycle I wanted, never even got. And so, but then I saw this commercial on television. I was probably still about 16 years old, and it showed this boy in California standing in front of a redwood tree, and all of a sudden the camera started to pan up as if the boy was lifting his head and looking up at the top, and it pans up, and all of a sudden you're looking 350 feet in the air, and showing this giant redwood tree, and he said, "Now, wouldn't you want your son to see this?" And it was like, and I saw that, and I said, "Yeah, I want to go see that. My dad's not taking me. I know it. I'm going." So I flew out to my aunt and uncle's house in California. I worked for a plane ticket, $350. That was a lot of money at the time. I saved my money, flew out, said, "Hey, I'm hitting the road." It was New Year's, and I went down to San Jose, came back. What an adventure! And in the process, isn't it ironic that the biggest tree, because we talk about trees, right? In the garden, there were two trees, and so the biggest tree in the world is what got me going out of New Jersey. It was the biggest living thing on the planet, got me going out of New Jersey, and it's a redwood tree, red for the symbol again of what Adam implies, the red earth, the fiery magma, but also Shikoyal, Aisha. There's the word Aisha right there in Shikoyal. Shikoya, because there's where I saw these remnants of the Aramaic within these American terms, which would have been Native American terms, and Aisha Koyal. So literally, that means that which goes round. The Yal is there. The Aisha, the royal eye of that which goes round. The tree is an eye, right, going up into the sky. So all of these things are there in this metaphor. And so how appropriate that it was a tree, the biggest living thing on earth, that got me leaving. And then I was on the discovery, and eventually the Father led me to California, where I was then in San Diego, and then climbed the mountain, Mount Whitney. So my whole life has been filled with a following of something that I didn't know where it was taking me. And one road led to another road as I was a hitchhiker going all over America in the 1970s. But I was smart enough to know that I had to drop out, and I had to get on with my learning. That's really what it come down to. My friends, I remember being in the park across from my vocational school in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and they're all saying, "Man, I'm going to Florida, man, I'm going over here," and all this, and I'm thinking, "Man, you guys ain't going anywhere. You're full of it." And I said to myself quietly, "I'm getting out of here." That's how I did. I remember that moment specifically, And so one of my friends ended up in a mental hospital permanently, and I don't know what happened to anybody else. I've never gone back, and have no connection with the past, and that's what putting your hands to the plow and not looking back is all about. Ninja.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No looking back.
I can relate to a lot of that story myself. Thank you.
Our families that we have received are an accident. They could have been any family. They are part of the illusion. If we have good parents, how fortunate we are. But many of our parents are dead, in this world, and they will only hold us back.
Yeah.
And he says, so you love the Father of light, your true parent, more than anything else. And if your earthly family are not going, then good luck to them, because then they'll, I guess, come back some other time in another place, in another universe or whatever. But their soul won't transcend. It's about saving your soul, okay? Not your body, your soul. Okay, it's a great mystery. So that's it for today, and I'm grateful for the production and great graphics and music, and so now you're in trouble because you're going to receive a what's classically known as a righteous man's reward. So perfection in the flowing light looks like it's yours coming up next, and I'm going to be very honored to see you to continue to grow and to go beyond. Okay, you can do it. We can do it with the right knowledge, with the right perspective, with the right information, but not on the merry-go-round of lies. We've got to get off the merry-go-round. We got to be willing to stand alone and do it alone. We came into the world alone. You didn't come in. You come in with a group of people, did you?
No, not that I can remember. No.
you came alone and you were crying, right?
Yes.
How did I get here? I don't like this deal.
Actually, I was impatient. I was 6 weeks early. And it's like, why?
Yeah. I was 12 pounds 6 ounces. I wonder if I even squeaked through that one.
I was tiny, absolutely tiny. Yeah.
So good things in this bad world. We got information that nobody's talking about. It's the grace of the Heavenly Father. I'm still working it out. I'm still learning more. I'm getting ready to do the transliteration, most important transliteration in modern time of the ancient Schultrace, our ancient scriptures, based on original thought. Nobody gives a damn, and I don't care either if they don't care. That's fine. We're going to do it. I'm grateful for the support of Love, of Shelley G, of NinjaCat, and that way, and Lynn, and a number of others that are behind the scenes supporting this work. It's a handful of people, but it says only few are going, so it makes sense that there's not 100 people listening in right now. They think they've already got it figured out. They think they can go the easy way, and that's without having to rightly divide the words of truth, as it says, and to he's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. I wonder how diligent they really are in this grand illusion that we're in. So the truth is not a part of any lie, and the Ace of Wars are the original, not the man-made constructs, abbreviated versions of lies and deception. Jesus, Yeshua, all of these terms are false narratives, false terms, and they are leading you to the truth if you can wrap your mind around the truth. But the truth is not a part of any lie. And so, NinjaCat and everybody else out there, don't forget, if you want to know the future, just look for the forbidden history, because all right here, coming your way. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell, because somebody's got to do it. And don't forget, later tonight, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Forbidden History Live, produced by Shelley G. And all of you out there. They got all the money. We don't have any money, but we do get it done on a song, a wing, and a prayer. And you are our prayers, ladies and gentlemen. So, Ninja, thank you, and we'll look for you on the other side. Okay.
Thank you, Desert. Peace and light to you always. And I can't wait. It's just going to get better and better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. See you in a few hours in the chat. Okay, guys, please join us. The next program is on Forbidden History Live. The link is in the description underneath this live stream. Please subscribe and check the bell, and subscribe to the Forbidden History series while you're at it. That's also in the description. And check the bell. That's funny saying that. That's Desert's original channel. He hasn't been using it. He's been using Forbidden History Live. But yeah, check the bell on both channels anyway. Yeah, you heard it here first. And I'm all wows at the moment. That was absolutely amazing. Thank you guys for joining. I will see you in the chat in the next stream. And peace and light to you always. And be safe out there. Love you guys lots. Alright, see yous.